Begin.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Shreya, your host, along with Mr. Shritin, your co-host. It's our pleasure to welcome each one of you to the stimulating IUCEE Student Summit 2022. We're glad to have your presence in the two-day virtual summit with diverse tech talks, alumni meet interactions, and more exciting sessions filled with fun. Before we start with our awaiting summit, as an Indian citizen, we shall give our first prior respect to our nation. I request everyone to rise for national anthem. I request Ms. Srisaila to sing the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जाहे तब शुभाशीष मांगे जागे जब से दादा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Music is part of divine's universe. Now it's time to enlighten this event with the blessings of God. I call upon Harsh Prada from Tyagaraja College of Engineering for Saraswati Vandana.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शङ्कर प्रभृतिभिः देवै सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा शुक्लां ब्रह्मविचारसारपरमा आद्यां जगद्व्यापिनीं वीणापुस्तकधारिणीम् अभयदां जाड्यान्धकारां वहाम् हस्ते स्वातिकमालिकं विदधतीं पद्मासने संस्थितां वन्दे तां परमेश्वरीं भगवतीं बुद्धिप्रदां शारदाम्.
Thank you, Asha. That was really enchanting. The human brain always thinks a lot to achieve something that one doesn't have. Gradually, people start dreaming to acquire their goal. The strong people believe in their goal and plan accordingly to achieve and fulfill their dream, while humans have a lot of dreams to fulfill in their life. IUCEE Student Summit 2022 has come up with its tagline, Dream, Believe, Achieve. Through the summit, IUCEE wants to make the students dream about the skills they require. We believe we provide diverse events that provide students with fruitful outcome. And finally, its segment of students take part in events and achieve the outcome and acquire professional skills.
Now, I would like to extend a warm welcome for all the dignitaries and students. We are glad to have you here. And once again, a hearty welcome to each and one of you present in the IUCW Student Summit 2022. I am profusely elated to take this opportunity to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Krishna Veduta, Professor of Chemical Engineering and Dean Emeritus, Francis College of Engineering, University of Massachusetts Lowell, USA. Dr. Vedula sir is co-founder and executive director of IUCW. He is a well-recognized globally for his contribution in engineering education, research, administration, and outreach. He has his BTech degree from IIT Bombay and has just completed his MS in Dexter University in metallurgical engineering. He also did his PhD for the same in Michigan Tech University. He has about 25 years academic teaching and research experience in material science and engineering, including 10 years as a faculty member at Case Western Reserve University, 5 years as a chair of the Material Science and Engineering Department at Iowa State University, and 8 years as a dean of an engineering college at UMass Lowell. In addition to this, he has also spent 2 years managing federal research and educational programs. He is internationally recognized for his research in processing and properties of material for high temperature applications, with particular emphasis on powder processing and intermetallic compounds and its environmental effects. Welcome, sir. It is a pleasure to have you here. I cordially invite Dr. Krishna Vedula sir to address us.
Okay, good afternoon, good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Krishna.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, so all right, so welcome everybody, and let's get started. Okay, so we're going to have a little question answer session in the beginning. So I'm going to ask you all, and the answers you can put them in the chat box. So by having this Zoom meeting, am I creating pollution? That's the question. Okay. And related to that, if you have a mobile phone and charge it, am I creating pollution? Okay, somebody says no, somebody says exactly, sir. Nobody's exactly, sir. I don't know what you mean by that. Exactly, sir. I'm just asking you a simple question. Am I creating pollution by charging my mobile phone or by having the Zoom meeting? Somebody Thakur says no. In a way, yes. Well, you can't, it's either yes or no, right? You can't say in a way, yes. Okay, you better be sure what you want to say. Okay, another one says yes, another one says no. Okay. And Dinesh says yes. Keep coming, keep coming. Am I causing pollution? And by pollution, I will define it, creating more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere by charging my mobile phone, or by just having this Zoom meeting. Am I creating more carbon dioxide in the world? Okay, good. So a lot of you have said yes. Some of you have said no. Some of you have said maybe. Okay, now the question is this. The answer is yes. I'm creating some carbon dioxide, okay? The next question is, explain that to me. You all going to, engineering students, explain the reason why I'm creating pollution when I'm charging my mobile phone. Explain to me. One sentence, brief sentence. Explain it to me, please. In one sentence, explain to me why. Many of you said yes, right? Justify yourself. You better be able to do that when you said yes. Okay. All right. So one good chat question. Okay, keep coming. I'm not going to read them out. I'm just going to keep waiting for more people to add their comments. Okay, keep coming. Others? Yeah. Why am I creating pollution when I'm charging my mobile phone? Some more people. Okay, major source of electricity is thermal power. Okay, so some of you have given all the right answers. Okay, the answer is yes. And we have to go back to thinking about where does electricity come from, right? You're charging the phone, where does electricity come from? 70% of the electric energy in India comes from thermal power stations. Okay. Now, just as a refresher, in case you have forgotten what you learned in your high school or earlier years in college, how does electricity get produced? Okay. It starts from digging a hole in the ground, coming up with some coal, burning the coal. That gives me carbon dioxide. It also gives me heat. I take the heat and heat up some water, and the water turns into steam. The pressure builds up in the container, and that pressure of the steam then is used to turn a turbine blade, mechanical motion. Everything in the sequence has to do with chemistry, physics, mechanical engineering, and general engineering, right? All important concepts in science and engineering. Then the turbine blade goes round and round, and you put some magnets around the turbine blade, and now you have electromagnetism coming into action. Electricity is produced, power lines comes to you, okay? So every time you use electricity, you are actually polluting the environment. So if you buy an electric two-wheeler, okay, everybody says, okay, let's use electric cars, electric two-wheelers. By buying electrical two-wheelers, am I reducing pollution? By riding electric cars, am I reducing pollution? Yes or no? You're reducing pollution? Somebody says no. To some extent, some of you are very careful to some extent. Okay, some says no. Okay. So electric cars or electric two-wheelers that you're going to be buying, saying, okay, I'm going to save the world, I'm going to buy a two-wheeler electric vehicle, right? You're not really reducing pollution if the source of the electricity that you're using, that you're charging your battery in your car, is coming from some outlet somewhere which is using electric power, right? Because that electric power is again coming from a thermal power plant somewhere. So although by buying the electric car and or a scooter and driving around the city, you are reducing the pollution in the city because you're not burning gasoline and producing flames in the city, but you're using electricity, which is producing carbon dioxide somewhere else where power is generated, okay? I'm going to buy a mango. I live in Hyderabad. I love mangoes, okay? I'm going to buy some mangoes, and I'm going to buy an apple. One mango, one apple, okay? Am I increasing increasing pollution, more pollution by eating the mango or the apple? By eating a mango or apple, which of it am I creating more pollution? Am I creating pollution by eating a mango or an apple? Anybody? If yes, I'll give you the answer. It's yes. Which one am I producing more pollution? Okay, some of you have attended some of my pep talks, maybe, but good. Many of you are saying apple. Explain to me why I'm producing more pollution by sitting in Hyderabad and eating an apple. I'm producing more pollution than by eating a mango in Hyderabad. Okay, see the chat box. Some of you have given the right answer. Apples come all the way from the north, maybe Simla. So to bring that apple to Hyderabad, somebody has to transport that apple in a truck and use a lot of energy in the process. Mangoes come from the neighboring village. Not enough energy, not much energy is required. So I'll be consuming less energy by eating a mango than an apple, okay? Let's see if find some example. Okay, let's say, I say, okay, thermal power is going to create pollution, right? I burn coal, create pollution. So I say, fine, let me get some solar panels and convert the sun's energy, solar energy, into electricity. By using solar panels to get electricity, am I producing pollution? Okay, somebody says no. Keep coming with answers. Am I producing pollution by using solar energy? Somebody saying yes. Okay, yes. Why? How am I producing pollution by using energy using solar panels? What's the reason? How am I doing that? Anybody? Just chat box, quick sentence. How am I producing, increasing the pollution by using solar panels for getting energy? Okay, so we have a good and some answers coming up. So some resources are needed to produce solar panels. If you think back to the process of how you make solar panels, you have to start with silicon, which is not available in the Earth's crust. So you have to start with some SiO2. You have to use chemical reactions in energy to reduce the silicon to silicon dioxide to silicon. And then you have to take that silicon and very, very carefully use some extremely high-tech processes to convert that into chips, which eventually get converted micro semiconductors. The whole process is using an enormous amount of energy, which is producing pollution. Okay. Am I producing pollution by when I'm building a bridge? Yes, no? Yes, I am, because I'm using materials. I'm using steel. I'm using concrete. Producing steel and concrete requires consumption of energy in the production process. So the point of all of these examples is that you have to think critically. Okay, you cannot just answer yes or no. Oh yeah, this is producing pollution, this is not. You have to think critically about what is the reason for creation of carbon dioxide. And in fact, all human activity produces carbon dioxide and pollution. Okay, so we have to do something about it. And the process for us as engineering students, engineers, to address such problems is to use critical thinking, not just by mugging up something and getting marks in my exams, okay? I have to use critical thinking. So, okay, this is one situation, another situation. What are some of the things involved? And how do I analyze the situation? So that is called critical thinking, and come up with answers and explain the answers. Right, since about 200 or 300 years ago, pollution has increased because of industrial revolution, industry 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. Before that, it wasn't much. Due to human activity in the last 200-300 years, huge amounts of carbon dioxide produced, which is causing global warming, which can lead to floods, heavy rainfall, heat waves, mountains melting, and the seas levels increasing and cities disappearing. In your lifetime, this could happen, okay? Cities may go underwater in your lifetime. So we need to learn how to use our thinking to solve problems related to probably pollution or any other problem that you'll face in your life, in your jobs, in your family, by using critical thinking, okay? Problem solving and critical thinking are essential for you to be leaders in society, not mugging up and getting marks, okay? I'm going to keep repeating that mantra, not by mugging up and getting marks. Problem solving, critical thinking, innovative thinking, working in teams, communication skills. These are all identified by the World Economic Forum as skills that you all need to have to be effective in your jobs, to be effective citizens, effective in the world, and not just acquiring knowledge by mugging up and passing exams, okay? So Iucee, into Universal Collaborative Engineering Education, we have been working with several colleges around the country where we are emphasizing that we have to help the students learn, okay, and not just mug up and pass exams. So what is meant by learning is what I just said, problem solving, working in teams, creative thinking, innovative thinking. In fact, the new education policy is emphasizing that also. But if you look at most of the courses that you take, you can easily get a good score by mugging up something 2 days before the exams and passing it. Okay. So the system encourages you to not think. Okay. Just to mug up and pass exams. So what we're trying to do is we have a mantra for the teachers. Okay. The mantra for the teachers is, if all of whoever is teachers in here, just repeat that. I am teaching. Are they learning? Are the students learning? I'm teaching. Are they learning? And for the most part, I would bet that they're not learning. Because I'm teaching. I have never learned how to teach. I don't know how to teach, but I'm teaching. How many of our faculty have actually taken courses on how to teach? If you were a pilot, you would take some course on how to fly, right? You want to drive a car, you take a course on how to drive. Most of our teachers have never taken a course on how to teach. So they've started teaching and learned by experience and so on. It's not their fault because they get jobs for teaching without really learning how to teach. So what we're trying to do in Iucee is help them understand that there is a better way to teach, where the students will actually learn and not just mug up and pass exams. And the most important way to get students to learn is by engaging them inside the classroom through discussions and critical thinking and problem solving and all of these things and activity. And this is something that's an important part of our mission of Iucee. So I want to give you a mantra, okay? Am I learning or just mugging up information? Okay, that's your mantra. Ask yourself, am I really learning anything or just mugging up and passing exams? Okay, if the answer is for the most part, I'm just mugging up, it's not your fault because the system is created such a way to reward mugging up. Okay, it's not your teacher's fault either. So they're teaching the way they think they are, that other students are going to learn. Okay, so it has to be a process by which some improvement has to happen in how the teachers are teaching so that they get you to work on problems, leadership skills, creative thinking, innovative thinking, communication skills, teamwork. Same time, you have to take the responsibility and not just say, my teachers are not teaching me well, so I'm just going to mug up and pass exams. To be good citizens, to be good human beings, to solve the problems of the world, to do a good job of what you're doing, you have to learn problem-solving techniques, which involve critical thinking, creative thinking, innovative thinking. And these can be acquired only by working on problems and projects that you see around you. That is why I keep emphasizing that look around you, not just sit in a classroom and mug, but look around you in society, in the classroom, and identify problems that can be solved. Okay. And the reason for that is, unless you find a real problem and try to solve it, you will not learn problem solving. An artificial problem from the back of your textbook in the chapter 3, problem number 14 is an artificial problem. Solving that is not going to make you a good problem solver and leader. A real project, a real problem, whether it's in your subject or outside your subject or in the community, identify the problem, okay? That first step is a great learning experience, just identifying the problem. Don't wait for somebody to give you a problem and say solve it. That's what happens all the time in your classroom. Identify a problem. The skill of identifying a problem in society, in your classroom or in your field is a very, very important skill. Once you identify the problem, then you say, okay, what are the reasons for this problem? You have to talk to the people, communicate with the people who are experiencing the problem. And that teaches communication skills, empathy, teamwork, and so on. And then once you understand some of the reasons for the problem, then again, as a team, you do some research and say, how can this problem be solved? Think, critical thinking, evaluation, analysis. And then you look for alternate solutions, because there will never be just one magic solution. Look for alternate solutions. And as a team, again, evaluate which of these solutions is the best, in your opinion anyway. It may not be the Okay, cost may be high, quality may be bad, whatever, but you evaluate the solutions and then agree, okay, that as a team, it's okay, we're going to try this solution, build a prototype, create something new to address the problem, and implement it. It will most likely fail the first time you do it. If it's a prototype, it will most likely fail. Okay, that's great. That's a great learning experience. Go back, try another solution, different approach. And so this design thinking process, problem solving process is really at the core of learning engineering. Making mistakes is absolutely essential for learning. Most of our students in our colleges or schools, I'm afraid, oh my God, I'm not going to do anything because I might make a mistake. So I'll just mug up and pass exams, okay? And so make mistakes, learn from your mistakes. That's very important, just riding a bicycle. Get on the bicycle, fall down, get on it, fall down again. Edison had to try out 1,000 different materials for his light bulb before he succeeded. 1,000 mistakes, okay? So life is about making mistakes and learning and doing projects which are useful to society. And that is what engineering is about. What you will hear very soon is from a young lady, Julia from Canada, who has taken on these kinds of challenges, looked at problems around her and problems in India, and so developed some technologies. She came to India, try out some of our prototypes and then build on it. So these are exciting things. You'll get a lot of excitement out of it. So with that, I'm going to stop, okay, and let Julia speak for herself in a little while. So thank you all, folks, and Jai Ho.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We would also like to show our gratitude towards Krishna Vedra sir for a valuable present today as an honorable chief guest. And because of the Iucee Foundation, you take an honor to honor you with virtual awards. Thank you, sir. Moving on to the next session, my journey, an initiative from Canada to India. I would like to hand over the session to Prajwal. Prajwal, please.
A warm good evening to all. I am Prajwal, your host for this session. It is a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome the guest, Miss Julia Baribu, a 21 years old Canadian girl studying in her fourth year of mechatronics engineering at the University of Waterloo. She recently spent 2 months alone at the Social Work and Research Center, SWRC, Barefoot College in Pilonia, Rajasthan. Julia's talk presents a roadmap that students can follow for taking action on the issues that matters to us, creating opportunities for international travel, finding funding, and making intercultural connection. It also emphasizes the water crisis in indigenous communities in Canada. Without any delay, I heartily invite Ms. Julia to deliver us the valuable talk on your journey and initiative from Canada to India. Yeah, welcome, Julia.
Thank you for the intro. My name is Julia, and I'm currently back in Canada. I have just started my fourth year in my undergrad, and it's going really well so far. It's very interesting. So I'll tell you about my journey, about the project that I'm working on, the problem that it addresses, and how I managed to get funding and convince my parents to let me come to India alone for 2 months this last summer. So I was born in 2000, and because I'm studying engineering at a school with a co-op program, I've been able to have a few internships so far. And these have been really valuable experiences because I get hands-on work experience in the workplace, and I start getting exposure to like real problems in the real world. So at one of my work terms, I was given a lot of creative freedom on a solution, and I saw a way to sort of frame the problem twist it into something that instead of just being for like corporate gain of making a manufacturing process more efficient, maybe I could also turn it into social good. So that's when I started reaching out for mentorship. I found some mentors through Engineers Without Borders, and they put me in touch with this organization, Iucee, as well as the Social Work and Research Center and the SM Segal Foundation. I thought about what I would like to do. All three of these organizations, I really agreed with the message that they were promoting, and I wanted to learn firsthand what exactly they were doing. So I wrote up a letter, like a one-page letter, and I sent that as an email to the founders of each organization, and asked if I could come and visit, if I would be able to stay with the organizations and learn what they're working on. And I was welcomed with open arms. So I was really excited to go to India and work with the solar mamas of Barefoot College. That's where I spent most of my time. So the solar mamas are illiterate and semi-illiterate grandmothers from the most disadvantaged communities in the world, who are recruited based on just attitude towards problem solving and persistence to learn solar engineering just practically through hands-on practical experience in 3 to 6 months, with no technical background, no schooling background, which is why it's called Barefoot College, because it emphasizes that you don't need fancy resources to be an engineer, to help the world, or to provide for your community. So after these women learn solar engineering, they go back to their home village and they solar electrify it. I spent 2 months living with them in Talonia in Rajasthan. It was a really eye-opening experience. Definitely, I learned so much just from the intercultural exchange, learning different attitudes towards work style, different approaches to problem solving and solutions that were implemented there that are very different from the ones we have here, but are just as effective. So one thing I learned is that the best way to learn something, and really the only way to learn it concretely, so that that full picture, big picture understanding is inside you, is hands-on practical experience. Especially with problems that you think you identify in the world, try and get out of the school and go live the problem. You can live with the community who's experiencing the problem for even just a few days, talk to people. The people on the ground who experience the problem have the best context and ideas for solutions. So this brings me to my project that I'm working on in Canada. It's with regards to water access. So Canada is a freshwater rich country. We have countless freshwater lakes and rivers all over the country. And yet still, there are 79 active water advisories in Indigenous communities in Canada, where a water advisory means either the water that comes from the tap, which in most cities and towns in Canada is perfectly safe to drink, drinking water. If you're in a community of primarily Indigenous people, you would have to boil that water before drinking it, or sometimes you may not drink it at all. Sometimes you may not even use it for a bath. That's how poor the level of water quality is. So to understand why this problem is in place, you need some historical context on Canada. So Canada, which is traditionally referred to as Turtle Island, meaning the sort of the northern part of North America, was colonized by Britain and France, similarly to India, with Britain's colonization. This was in around the 1600s. And it started out with trade between the colonizers and the Indigenous people who were here before, and then slowly turned into a relationship of restriction. So when the Canadian government was founded by Britain and France, part of our constitution declared that all of the land here and all of the people who were living here are in the jurisdiction of the federal government, almost like they're owned by the federal government of Canada, by the Western European colonizing government. And so that means that the government can make decisions for Indigenous people without having to consult them. Some horrific things were established in Canada's past. So the reserve system is splitting up land into tiny patches and assigning Indigenous people to their reserve, and then making sure that they can't leave. Oftentimes these reserves would be far away from the people's ancestral lands, so their traditional knowledge in medicine, water practice wasn't applicable there. And you couldn't leave without even sometimes getting a lawyer and fighting the government. As well, the residential school system was started. So this specifically refers to a system of boarding schools where children from Indigenous communities would be taken for re-education in a European sense. So the Canadian government and the Catholic Church would approach families and tell them that we will take your children, we will educate them in English and French, in Christianity, and they will be able to get good jobs, have good opportunities. And so families let their children grow. However, at these schools, the children were forced to cut their hair into the British style. They were given an English name. If they spoke their own native language or practiced anything from their religion or culture, they would be beaten, abused. They were fed rotten food. There was a lot of child neglect and abuse at these schools. And in the words of the first Prime Minister of Canada, the goal of the residential school system was to kill the Indian in the child. It was an attempt of cultural genocide. Canada wanted to be able to exploit all of the resources on this land. And to do that, it was trying to get rid of the people who have lived here for millennia. This era of restriction led to difficulty fighting for rights. No community infrastructure was built up. And as a result, we have the very poor water quality on reserves today. So this is a problem that is very close to my heart. Water is life. And increasingly with climate change and pollution, sources of clean, fresh drinking water for communities are becoming more scarce. So I want to help with this problem. My experience at Barefoot College in India will help me because the Solar Mama program is an example of a very effective, decentralized, demystified technical education program where you teach grandmothers from the very community that you're trying to help the technical skills that they need to uplift their community. And so my thought was, okay, maybe I can learn this model, bring it back to my home country and implement it in regards to water technology in Indigenous communities. So that's the idea. This term, I'm doing a lot of outreach. As Mr. Krishna Vijula sir said, you need to really speak to the people who you're trying to help, really investigate the problem and understand all sides of the need. So this term, I'm going to powwows, Indigenous community cultural events, centers, talking to students, figuring out what work is already being done and how I can help, and how I can apply what I've learned in India to this problem that I care so much about. So how I managed to get funding to get there, my school has a culture of supporting entrepreneurship. It's a big ticket for my school. And we have these little programs where students can pitch business ideas, compete for funding, and get grant money to help develop our business. So I was a part of one of those, and I pitched this idea. It was a 3-minute pitch, and I won my ask of $5,600 to cover the cost of my plane tickets to India. This is $5,600. Don't know the exact amount in rupees. I should have prepared that number, but it's $1 Canadian is around 60 rupees. And that covered my whole trip to India and this learning experience and some of the cultural outreach that I'm doing here today. I had to convince my parents, especially my mom, to let me go to India alone as a young woman. And the way that I did that was showing organization and getting incredible support. So Sampara, who you know from Iucee, has been so lovely to me. And knowing that I have her support in India really helps my mom be comfortable with me being there on my own. So I hope this can provide somewhat of a roadmap of one way that if you identify a problem and you know you have a passion for working on it, simply talk to everyone you meet about that problem and that passion and what you're trying to achieve. Because people get inspired by young students with passion, and they feel inclined to help you. And so if you reach out to mentors, you learn from your elders and stay persistent, then you can achieve the goals that you set out to achieve. And it won't be linear. You will make many mistakes. This project for me started as an endeavor in electrical engineering, in electric motor manufacturing. And that's when I realized that the problem I was addressing, the solution I was thinking of wasn't going to work. I still had these connections and these opportunities to go to India and to study. And so I found another problem that I'm passionate about and warped the resources I had, twisted them to apply them to that problem. So it won't be a linear process, but if you feel inspired, you have the power to take action. So now if we have some time, I can open up a Q&A if you'd like to learn more about any specific part of my journey. Feel free to unmute and talk to me.
That's a brilliant statement. If you have the passion, you have the power. I have one question. I should have asked you before. Of course, I had many opportunities. So how exactly were you drafting your letter? What was in your mind? How did you know what is it that you should write in the letter when you would reach out to the people in foundation who did not know you and who you did not know? How did you know exactly to address and make that proposal so that when our students fall in a similar situation, they are able to formulate and articulate their thoughts around it?
Yeah, so one thing I knew would be important is not to make it too long, because they would be getting this letter from someone they've never met. And I want to make sure that their attention span doesn't expire before they've heard my message. So I believe it was about 2 pages in the end. Plus I had some appendix to explain the technical details of my project more if they were interested. But the first thing I knew I had to do was make a human connection, introduce myself in a way that communicates my values and my passion. And so I gave some brief context on what I'm studying. I stated I have a passion for this subject, I really like creative problem solving and taking risks, and I would like to address this problem with your help. And then in terms of asking for each organization's support, the first step was getting familiar with who I was speaking to. It's like in real life, whatever conversation you have with a person will vary drastically depending on the person you're speaking to. And so I read through the organization's websites really thoroughly. I watched YouTube videos from founders, TED Talks, and noted down the key points of their presentation, which corresponds to what they value most. And then I could leverage that to connect with them in a way that will really speak to them, really resonate with the message that they're trying to promote, and do a specific ask. So my specific ask to Iucee, for example, was connections with young students to sort of get familiar with the culture and with different engineering teaching styles. My specific ask to Barefoot College was to be able to visit the college, live and work on campus among the other volunteers and employees for a specific duration of time. I mentioned what I would need, like I would be able to provide my own flights. I would just need a place to sleep and maybe a cook stove. And so being specific and open, really encompassing your personality as when you introduce yourself, making your passion come through in your writing, framing the problem that you're trying to address, and convincing the reader to care about it. This can be done with like stating the impact is really what makes people care about problems in my experience. And yeah, being specific so that they know, okay, are we capable of filling in this ask? Are we capable of offering this support? I have a question in the chat. How many months it took for the preparation? So I started preparing. I had the idea when I heard about these organizations. It was around the beginning of this year. The beginning, yeah. So no, this is around last summer. It's been about a year of preparation from when I first heard about these organizations, got the idea that I would like to go to India and study what they are working on, to me being here back in Canada 2-3 weeks after returning from India. So preparation involved communication with these different organizations, communicating my needs and values and establishing what we can do together, what opportunities we have together, as well as getting my visa application. That took a very long time, longer than I expected. And making sure that I had enough prepared understanding of the problem I was trying to address by the time that I got to India, that I could really get immersed in the program and start learning with the right context. As well as practical things like getting long sleeve clothing so I don't burn in the hot sun.
Questions from students?
Hello, Julia. I have a question for you. How did you feel for the first time when you came to India to do your research? I wanted to know about that.
So The first thing I noticed was the humidity. It was very intense, but familiar, because in my home part of Canada, in the summers, we often get heat waves, which feel like the heat and humidity in India. And really my experience the whole time was many things different from my home. The traffic is very different, the city structure, the environment, people, but everything felt very familiar, because in the end, humans are all humans, and everyone is going about living their life according to their beliefs and values. And human connection runs deeper than any language or culture. That was one of my big learnings when I was in India, because working with the solar mamas, many of them only speak Marwari or Marwari and Hindi. One had a little bit of broken English. When I got to India, I had very little broken Hindi, and that was there to support my English and French. But so in the classroom, in the workplace, I would mostly just take things as they come. I would not understand what people were talking about, what the plans were for the day, but I was willing to tag along, and I could see by demonstration what people were doing, and they could teach me, here's how you solder a resistor in this circuit, here's how you test it on the power supply. And then eventually, I became friends with the solar mamas themselves. So we've communicated maybe 20 words total spoken, but we would have lunch together, and after lunch, we would hang out in their dormitories, lay and give each other scalp massages. It's really that camaraderie of human to human connection that was quite familiar. So despite being in a country on the other side of the world with a very different culture and history from my country, I felt almost at home. I can see more questions.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you. Have you faced any bad times? So some rough ones. The stress in school can get overwhelming at times, because I'm working on my own social entrepreneurship venture, sort of business on the side. I don't have as much time for assignments and studying, and so that can get overwhelmed. I also really enjoy extracurricular things, so that adds to it. I'm playing volleyball with my roommates, and I teach instructional Kung Fu, a martial art class this term. So that stress can be rough for a few weeks, but I've been dealing with that with making sure I set aside time just for myself. I do 30 minutes of yoga and meditation every morning that I learned while I was in India, and reaching out for support, but I need it. That's really the big factor that has greatly influenced my well-being, is asking for help, and people do provide, and it really does improve my state of being. And then how I overcame the language barrier during my time in India. At the beginning, when I first got to Barefoot College, so language wasn't an issue in the city. When I spent 8 days in around Delhi, because everyone I was around spoke English. But when I got to the small village, there were a few people with English fluency, and so they gave me tours, introduced me to what the different departments are, told them who I was and what I was doing there. And then for the rest, just taking the day as it comes. Always being with other people, so you can follow what they're doing. And I had a little notebook on me all the time, so I could draw pictures. A lot of acting out, kind of like charades, was able to be used. And then I slowly started to learn Hindi. So now Thoda Hindi, मैं Canada से हूँ, मेरा नाम Julia है. I was able to communicate basic things about my family, where I was going, if I needed something. And that really just came from immersion. The need was there. So my brain started adapting slowly. I see another question for how crucial was networking for you? I would say it is almost everything. It is so crucial. I would not have been able to accomplish anything that I did without the direct support and influence of my network. So I didn't even know that this organization existed, Iucee or Barefoot College. It was through a mentor of mine, through Engineers Without Borders, who I met just showing up to an event, listening to his presentation. He left his email with us, and I emailed him a few months after when I started thinking about international development work. He told me about these organizations. Reaching out to everyone was able to provide me the support of where to live, where to find support in India, and even through networking was how I found out about the social entrepreneurship incubator program at my university, which gave me all of the funding I needed to achieve the goals. So really talk to everybody who you meet and just be open and honest. Tell them about the problems you see in the world. Ask like, how might we be able to solve this? And tell them your ideas. Ask for critical feedback. Do you see any holes, any flaws in my ideas? Because it is only together as a whole society, a whole planet of humans, with different perspectives and knowledge and skills, that we can solve these planet-wide problems that we're facing now, like climate change. The mails I wrote before I got hurt, I only wrote 3 letters, and I got responses from all 3 of them fairly quickly. And I attribute that to the amount of work and time and being deliberate about each letter. So really researching the organization, targeting one person within it to specifically write towards and specifically try and reach, rather than a letter addressed to a whole organization. There's no responsibility for it. And my mentor directly sent the letters on my behalf to each of these 3 people who he already had personal connections with. So I told my mentor, hey, I'm passionate about this problem. I want to learn these values. He sent me a list of 10 organizations he's connected with that shared those values. And I researched them. I picked 3 that I was most interested in, wrote those letters, sent them to him for review, edited a bit, made sure they were very high quality. And then he sent them forward directly to those personal contacts of his. So that's another way that networking really influenced the success of this project.
Thank you. Your
Thank you,
story is
Julia.
definitely of inspiration. Yeah, Prajwal.
Thank you, Julia, for your wonderful life story. We extend our heartfelt thanks to Julia for accepting our invitation to share her experience. As a token of gratitude, we would like to present you a virtual memento on behalf of the Iucee Foundation. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you all for having me.
After having a spectacular talk from Julia, we would like to move further on next session, Iucee Foundation and Student Development Program Feedback and Future Roadmap. I invite Mr. Akshar Lodhia to take over the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Prajwal. Good evening, everyone. I am Akshar Lodhia, host of this session. Now I take privilege to welcome our beloved speaker, Ms. Sampada Pachoria ma'am. Sampada Pachoria is currently serving as a director board member at Iucee Foundation. She is involved in the organization affairs of Iucee and leads student development program at Iucee with a focus to empower them with tools to grow and make a mark in engineering and beyond. She is a postgraduate in VLSI design from IIT Delhi. She has worked with ST Microelectronics India and Italy, Micron Technology Incorporation USA, and Sankalp Semiconductors. She served Vice President at Electronic Sector Skill Council of India to lead technical training, industry skill development of engineering students. She is also a fitness and sport enthusiast and amateur long distance endurance cyclist riding across a city and a mountain. Heartily welcome to you, ma'am. Now I invite Ms. Sampada Pachuria ma'am to speak a few words on Iucee Foundation and provide a feedback updates on the student development program of the Iucee. Herewith, I hand over the session to Ms. Sampada ma'am.
Thank you, Akshay. I'll have to share my screen, so could you give me the screen? Thank you. So I'm going to lift off from where Krishna finished a while ago. I am teaching, are they learning? That's the big time motto and principle that we all at Iucee Foundation adhere ourselves with. Everything that we decide and do and work with, the whole concept is centered around teaching and learning. You all have probably seen our vision and mission statement, which is preparing an ecosystem. It is about transforming engineering education and creating an ecosystem that allows engineering and engineering learning to thrive within. Now, with this background, we have a student development focus. And the whole aspect of the student development focus to be created is that we target directly the student community that we have as part of the Iucee consortium member institutions. And we give them the right kind of tools, which allows them to develop, allows them to grow, allows them to become professional leaders. And how do we do that? The whole ecosystem that we are working upon. In fact, there's a wonderful slide which Krishna shows at times. We'll probably have an opportunity to see that slide sometime if you've not already seen it in the past with Krishna. And that ecosystem allows the best from all of you to come out in the ways that you all have shaped up yourself to be. Your own strengths emerge out through the system that we would like to create. Things that we like to do with the students, we have created a network of student chapters right now. There's a background noise. Can somebody just mute themselves, please? Thank you. So this network of student chapters that we have developed is our backbone when it comes to reaching out to each one of you and to facilitate all the student programs and activities that we are trying to launch and run along with you. It also allows the students the aspect of learning and sharing along with the rest of their own community. It allows you to work and mingle with other students of other colleges. It allows you to learn the best practices which other chapters and other student groups are applying and learning from or growing from. We like to do a lot of student projects by way of igniting thinking minds. Last year when we did, we took about 5 problem areas, which were real world problem areas, and we developed projects around them. This year we started with MindSpark. Again, the idea was to allow a lot of problem-based learning and a lot of critical thinking, which allows you to look at your own solutions and ideas from a different lens. We also introduced courses and workshops which complements this aspect of interdisciplinarity and an overall holistic growth for you all. So if I were to look at the last 4 years of how the student development programs have come about, Not that it didn't exist before. Iucee Foundation has finished 13 years plus of being a movement led by Krishna. The focus on student development, if I could date it back from 2019, when I became more and more active with this. So we started with giving you courses, and the courses were very, very specific to a certain aspect. For example, clean and green campus, or leadership development, or courses around projects around UN Sustainable Development Goals. Now, these courses were facilitated, enabled, and guided by leaders, global leaders and experts that Iucee Foundation has within its network. Annual Student Forum, which was a physical activity before COVID happened, allowed students to work on the problems, get into a 3-day active format where they would work on this, bring their own ideas, brainstorm with each other, and then come out and showcase what they have done. In 2022, and as we also progressed into a more of an online world because of COVID, the implementation of the projects which had initiated in 2019 as part of those 4 courses within phase 1 and phase 2 started to come about. They were religiously guided by the mentors within the Iucee Foundation community. And then, of course, the students were given the charge to take those implementation into a real developed project or a prototype at their end within their colleges. Of course, the annual student forum, and then the student summit started. What you're seeing this year right now, this is the 3rd year of student summit. The first student summit happened in 2020, and then the student chapters started to form themselves into a group of interested students by way of officers, and their roles were clearly identified so they could create a community within their own college and start identifying various activities which they would do as a team. And this community was not within a department, but across the department. So it allowed them to talk to other faculties, other department students, work on their own skills, skills which were outside of their curriculum, but were very much needed for them to grow as leaders or as professional people ready for the industry. The whole pattern emerged and continued in a much better picture in 2021 when we started looking at this group of student chapters and started forming and identifying a body called National Student Council, which was a unified entity for the student chapters. And then we, of course, conducted the problem-based learning projects, which were taken from 5 real-world problems. We also did a project competition, which came in as inspired from the COVID situation, trying to enhance the oxygen in the indoor airspace, especially for people who were recovering from COVID, and then Student Summit and Annual Student Forum. Now, this year we have graduated further into identifying 7 tracks, areas where students have completed their projects in the banner of MindSpark. They submitted their projects by the month of June and July. They have already finished, and now they have it up to them to continue to work on those projects and to create it into a prototype. And if they do, they are welcome to bring it into the annual student forum and showcase what they do. Then, of course, we had Krishna, who started NEP mini courses, and I would invite Krishna to speak more about it, which allowed the first-year students to get into a different pedagogy of learning. Instead of the typical textbook learning and reproducing, they were able to understand the applied engineering aspect through the basic sciences. And that was our pilot with NEP mini courses that Krishna started at the beginning of this year and concluded just recently. We also had a group of students who went into Vadvani Foundation NE Inactivate program for entrepreneurial mindset development and thinking. It was a 14-week long program. It was quite rigid. Not many teams actually continued and could adhere to the rigorous deadline that they had. But if I bring those people, they will tell you what they learned and how much they grew around it. And of course, we now are beginning to start a new initiative, which is themed around sustainability and climate change. We are identifying campuses which can take up net zero. So next year is going to be more and more centered around climate change and sustainability for the planet. But before I do that, I would like Krishna to fill in with respect to the NEP mini courses as well as anything that I may have missed out. Krishna?
Yeah, thank you, Sampada. You did a fantastic job of development over the past 4 years. A couple of things I want to emphasize is that we keep talking about identifying problems and then developing the skills to solve them. So we talk about that as though it's very easy. It is not. Okay, as many of you have found out, it's identifying a problem is very, very difficult. And that's a skill that will help you develop skills. And so you have to be alert, look around you, and think of problems people are facing. And it can be as simple. You don't have to solve the biggest problems in the world. You can start with simple-ish things that are just around you in your college. Okay, just look at some of the, maybe the students who are coming in brand new this year, right? Brand new students are coming in October, November. They will all come, they'll be a little confused. They'll have some issues, they'll have struggle with things. Maybe you can identify something that you can do to help them more at ease. And some of them are struggling with math or physics. Maybe you can set up coaching classes for them, mentoring them on campus, or maybe helping them as a big brother, big sister. And those are small projects that you can do. Or you could go to a nearby high school and help some of the students learn how to do programming if you're good at programming, or do something else like that. So you just have to be alert and look around you, and there may be, again, it may be just as simple as looking around on campus and saying, how much electricity are we wasting every day? And maybe set up a little project that's okay, let's all do patrolling of the campus and turn off anything that's wasting electricity or water. So these are small things, but I guess when you do them as a team together, you develop all the skills that I talked about, which is critical thinking, analytical thinking, working in a team, and being creative. So that's, and communication skills. Okay, so that that's what I want to say about problem solving. About the NEP courses, these are courses that we piloted last year. And it's being the first time, it was we learned a lot. So we will be offering these again this year, and this year all the students will be eligible. Last year only the first year students were eligible. This year all students. So keep this in mind, all of you, that we're rolling them out very soon. And the courses, there are 6 courses that we saw, and courses that we offer in the form of 8 webinars each, and some assignments associated with it. And the faculty from your colleges will actually be doing the grading. One course is on Clean and Green Campus, which already Sampada has talked about. Another course in leadership and development, and that's again has to do with clean water, affordable housing, and waste management. And then we have one course on artificial intelligence for all, another course on entrepreneurial thinking, and then we have another course on design thinking, and finally we have one course on social emotional learning. All these are taught by our well-known, renowned international experts from all over the world, Australia and mostly United States and India. So look out for announcements, and the most important thing that you should do is start connecting with the teaching and learning centers that we have created on your campus. Most of your almost all the colleges that are represented here today, they have a center for teaching and learning, and that's where this whole mantra of Iucee, I'm teaching how they're learning, will be pushed and implemented. So as a student chapter, or as a faculty advisor to a student chapter, you are part of the Teaching and Learning Center. So there's one faculty member associated with the Teaching and Learning Center who is your faculty advisor, and that way you get connected to all the things that are going on campus, and you can make your contribution, your voice known to them, and help them, and they can help you. And I think a lot of exciting things can happen if you connect yourself together with the Teaching and Learning Center. I'm going to stop there, Sampada, back to you.
Thank you, Krishna. Right. So in fact, so the whole concept is that we are trying to connect the thread of learning with the teaching and learning centers that all of your institutions will be are already in the process of starting or have started already. And in fact, I have a visual that I can show I'm kind of just building it up, that, the teaching and learning centers within your colleges will become your activity places or centers. And with the direct assistance of Iucee and the group of Iucee leaders that we have, and some of the leaders are present here right now here in the summit. Some of our very strong industry network support are present here in the summit. They have always been there. So this group of industry leaders and experts from all over the world are here within Iucee, who is helping bring in, adding value to the activity which will happen inside teaching and learning centers of your college, of your institution. And student chapters will enjoy that as a direct visibility and connection through your TLCs, so that the benefits and the growth that can happen within the student chapter can be not only limited to a certain group of students, but more and more students can be mobilized to come and be a part of the student chapter and then get their learning process activated. So the focus areas for 22 and 23 here that we have, as I said, climate change and sustainability is going to be the thing that we are, so everything that we will center around will be looking at problem solving around these areas. We are going to bring more continued projects for students, which are linked to various courses, like Krishna said, and also more rounds of industry problem solving projects that we will introduce in the next year. The idea of strengthening the student chapters is through the TLC, which I just reflected in the slide. And then we are now going to push all the chapters to of a region, of a zone, to get together and to collaborate better and start hosting zonal events within the chapter level. That would allow a lot of exchange of ideas and more intense problem solving, which is very, very specific to the local areas and problems, can be facilitated through that. So that's the overall idea. I'll take now few more minutes to talk to you about Annual Student Forum. You all know we have Annual Student Forum coming up in 2023. And after COVID, this is going to be again physical at the venue event that we will have. Vidyavardhaka College of Engineering, Mysuru has been chosen to be the host of that, jointly with Iucee. The Annual Student Forum runs along with ICTIE, which is a conference for faculty. So these are two conferences which happen parallel. 4th, 5th, and 6th January are the dates for the Annual Student Forum, while 6th, 7th, and 8th are the January are the dates for the ICTIE. The highlight for the student forum is going to be again centered around critical thinking and inquiry-based learning. Things that you will begin to do from now until forum and during the forum will be centered around critically thinking things and then developing an inquiry around it. We are going to push you towards a lot of field work. So what you heard Julia talk about, and the fact that she said that the best people who can give you the right context to the problem are the people who are in the problem themselves. So this is why she came and lived with the people at Telonia. You don't have to always travel overseas, but if you identify a problem and if you go to the field and speak to the people who are the recipients or the beneficiary of the solutions, you will actually be able to make a solution that appeals to them and not what appeals to you. We will engage more of group learning and discussion sessions during the forum. We will allow exhibitions so that there is a scaling up of what you learn with more and more students. We will also have space for some outdoor activities, team building activities, and also cultural program. The format of the Annual Student Forum will be in the format of dynamic classroom, which Krishna introduced during the Leadership Summit, where we identify some things and we do thinking, and then we do pairing, and then we do sharing. So these are like the 3 stages that we will use as our progression. The sustainability inquiry is what we will do now between October, November, and December as a pre-forum activity or as a preparation towards it. And then during the forum of 4th, 5th, and 6th January, we are going to get together in the rooms for 3 days and do a lot of group discussions and sharing. And then after all, the exhibition to scale up and to take the idea or to spread awareness. The identified areas for inquiry are picked up from UN Sustainable Development Goals. We have again, the Iucee group of leaders have worked hard at coming up with these areas and these problems for you to work upon. The group of leaders is going to be continuously beside you to help you develop your inquiry around these. There will be a program announcement for this, which will come up by October 1st. And then subsequently, there will be an orientation and a workshop on inquiry, how to do inquiry on 8th October. And then there will be an 8-week-long SDG inquiry, which will go on. And then it will finally result in the ISF live event at Vidyavardhaka College. The theme, we are talking about sustainable planet and how engineering and technological thinking can be built around it. So I would encourage more and more of you to prepare and plan and participate in the annual student forum and grow your sustainability awareness around it. That's about it, and I'll take questions from each one of you. In fact, I have some of the members who are helping us with the sustainability here. Dr. Raju is here, Iucee is here, and I don't know if Ranji is here. It's probably early for him, but yeah, somebody raised a hand. Is there a question? Are people excited? Are people thinking about student forum? I know you must be thinking of these students. Okay, if there are no questions, we can actually move to the next session, getting ready for the debate, which is our big event for today.
Sampada, for giving a nice overview. So let's give a big round of applause.
Thank you, Krishna.
So much, ma'am, for inviting us. We are glad to have you. On behalf of Iucee Foundation, for great efforts and put towards winding our knowledge, for being us with today, all your commitment aside and making us happen, we would like to honor Sampada ma'am with virtual award. Thank you, ma'am. And we would like to extend gratitude to everyone for joining us today. For next session, we have a student chapter debate competition. I invite Ms. Madhuri and Mr. Iucee to take over the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Iucee, for giving me the stage. So good evening, everyone. Welcome you all to the student chapter debate, one of the most fascinating events of today's summit. As we all know, debate involves formal disclosure on a particular topic. Today, we have 5 different topics for the candidates. Any debate session helps participants to develop their critical and strategic thinking among themselves. We organize this thrilling competition or participations so that they can explore through a domain and to voice their opinion, and further to provide opportunities for students to participate and share their interdisciplinary skills. There are 6 colleges in attendance, which will now engage in verbal combat over the following topics. In the room number 1, we will have a verbal battle on the topic how 5G will impact Indian population. Similarly, in room number 2, digital revolution and climate change. In the room number 3, we will have the topics, should India replace all fossil fuel based cars with electric vehicles? Room number 4, positive or negative impacts of space travel to our planet Earth. Room number 5 will have the discussion over the topic, is technology a boon or ban to reduce disparities between rich and poor in India? There are the general instructions. The time for the debate is strict, as it is 5:30 to 6:45. The participants should be available in their respective rooms for the given time. The participants are requested to join the main room as the debate ends. The meet link of the main room will be again shared by the ma'am or the moderator present in each room. Now I request participants to go to their respective debate rooms links that are shared through mail, as well as it will be reshared in the group.
Yeah, so the point is clear. There are identified teams for each rooms. There are links which are just now shared in the chat. Those who have been identified for their respective debate topics, please click on the room which is for your topic and go into that room until 6:45 you are there. To come back to the main room, you have to use the same original link with which you came here today at 4 p.m. So the main room link will bring you back to us at 6:45 p.m. In the meanwhile, if there are audiences who want to join any debate room to follow their friends or teammates and cheer for them or ask questions, you are welcome to pick up any of the room and go there. The participants should stick to the debate room, which has already been identified for them. The audiences can go in any of the rooms that they like to go. And this room will stay for debate topic number 1. So for the room 2, 3, 4, and 5 people, they can move to their respective debate topics, debate rooms, Zoom rooms. And meanwhile, Julia has shared a link about the letters that she wrote, and I'm going to share that with all of you, even on the WhatsApp, so that it doesn't get lost. Thank you, Julia.
Yes, no problem. I hope that it can provide a helpful resource. So all of these students can have an example of one way to write a letter to get support.
Yeah, I'm sure we have a lot to learn, and we are always learning from each other.
Hi, Sampada, Kalyan here. So just want to check. Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi.
So for me, this is the room, right? I mean, how 5G will impact. I mean, I just wanted a clarification. I mean, that's what I got in the mail. So
Yeah. So this main room link will be for the first topic, which is 5G, and you'll be here with me.
So I'll be here, right?
Yeah,
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, Jyot?
Shall we start now?
No, let us allow people to move, and it's 3 more minutes before 5:30. So, and let me quickly check with other room session host if their teams have arrived. Can you quickly meanwhile check if the participants of room 1 are all here or not? Can you quickly check that?
Yes, ma'am. I am checking.
Hello, ma'am. Can you write topic of each room, please?
Yeah, okay. Is there a confusion regarding that? Jyot, could you reshare the screen which had all the topics and the room name and numbers? Yeah, just put it up. Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, Roman, can you see this?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can I
Thank
leave
you,
this
ma'am.
room and join my respective room, ma'am?
Yeah, you are all welcome to click on the link, which is your room link, given to you by email and also shared here in the chat.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Ikjot, keep it on. Keep this slide on until people have moved.
It's then one. It's then one.
Okay, yeah, then one is here. Okay.
I'll be stopping the share at 5:30.
Okay, and I'm going to share the link for various rooms on the chat again for people who may have missed seeing it earlier. So in the chat, you have links for room 2, 3, 4, and 5. you can click on your respective room links and it will take you to your debate rooms.
This one is the room 1, right now, ma'am?
This is room 1. Those who are part of room 1 can continue here. Those who have to participate for topics 2, 3, 4, and 5 have to go to the rooms 2, 3, 4, and 5 respectively.
It's 5:30, ma'am. I hope.
It's 5:30, and let us just quickly check from our partners in other rooms if the participants are there. And can you confirm if participants of room 1 are all here? Can you just call out the college names?
Yes, ma'am. I may call out the college names. KLETU versus VVIT. Are all the students from KLETU who have participated in how 5G will impact are here or not? Kindly ping in the chat box or even turn. You can unmute and tell.
Farhin Dewari and Nitya Satpika's team. Are both
Yes.
teams available?
Yes. Yes, Nitya is here. He has typed. Who is from KERE versus VVIT?
KARE, correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry to interrupt. I have to go to get started on my day here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you so much for coming and joining the session and helping all of us with your, inputs that you shared were really valuable.
It was a pleasure. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Are the teams for room 1 identified? Can we start?
I'm still identifying.
The first team, team 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Begin.
Let me present my screen.
Mhm.
Here we go.
So I have VVIT and KLE, right?
Yes, ma'am.
In the next team also VVIT with Kare.
Yes, ma'am. So again, good evening again. Myself, Iucee, the moderator of this room, still welcome you again. As all of know the rules and regulations of the event and a debate, but I request you all to again have a quick glance over these rules.
So Kalyan, you have the authority to decide when and how you would like to ask questions.
Sure.
You can basically take over and decide how you would want these teams to, when should they stop and when should they answer questions, etc. You can take over.
I
Sure.
think all have read the rules and regulations. Let me proceed.
Hmm.
As for any competition, the jury will integral part. Here we have our honorable jury, Dr. Kalyan Ram, who is a co-founder of Electron Solution Private Limited, also as the CEO of Electrono Solutions. Kalyan provides strategy and insights, drives innovation, defines organizations, business goals, and ensures business development. Since 2004, Kalyan has developed a vast experience in the field of control, system design, and remote engineering involving Industry 4.0 solutions. Kalyan also heads the engineering design team at Electrono that includes designing solutions, remote laboratory for academic institutions, control system design, software, hardware, system in loop, simulations, IoT for engineering, and all that. He is also the president of International Association of Online Engineering, that is IAOE, Austria, So I welcome you, sir, again with a round applause from my side.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jyot. Glad to be here. Very excited in every event that Iucee does. It's very exciting, and I've had the privilege to be a part of several such events, and this is another one. Thanks, Sampada, for having me here. It's always a pleasure talking to you, working with you. It's really exciting, and of course, thanks to Krishna, a wonderful initiation. No doubt about it.
Thank you.
So looking forward to a very exciting, debate, because the theme is itself highly debated, highly controversial, highly questioning, and highly, insightful. And I'm sure all of you here also have several opinions about this topic in itself. So KLETU versus VVIT, at least from the current situation that I'm seeing, I feel that, the kind of for and against discussions that happen here, I don't think I will have to ask any questions. You will keep debating amongst yourselves. But having said that, I'm very, very curious, looking forward to hear from you all. Let's debate.
Yes, without wasting any time, I request the first battle to begin. That is between KLTU, that will speak in favor of the topic, and VVIT, that will speak against of the topic. Now I request the both of the speakers from KLTU and VVIT to start debating one at a time. Who is the one from KLETU? Is Fareen here? Hey, is Fareen here? Ma'am, can you check, please?
In the participant list, I see two Praveens. One is SR Praveen and the other is Surya Praveen. Are they?
It's Fareen. F-A-R-H-W-N.
Oh, Fareen. Okay. Oops. Not in this participant list. Yeah.
Yes. So VVIT, Nitya here.
Hello.
It's Nitya here.
Yes.
Yes, I'm getting your voice.
Okay. So I think 5G network has a lot more uses, but it has also impacts in our human life. We already know that 4G has already impact in our human life. It already impacts our health. It also impacts our
We lost your voice, Nitya, in between for a second.
Am I audible to you right now, ma'am?
Yeah.
You can turn on your video if you wish.
Okay, sir.
Because debate also involves a lot of expressions, right? Yeah, Nitya. Now you're visible. Great.
So I think, however, how much it impacts, however it is useful to you, it also impacts our human life. The first thing I came into this, I understand that is it actually impacting a lot on our human health and also in animal life. So in Korea, actually 5G network has already started, and after a few researchers, they have known that 5G networks are impacting the brains of children. I mean, it impacts the developing brains. I mean, children are developing bodies, right? So they have their bodies are more affected than adult ones, and some of during this having this 5G network in our local areas, the huge impact of electromagnetic waves are impacting these children, and they are recommended that it should not use. It should use away. It must be more away. What I'd say. We must use this 5G network in a limited way. And it also part of impacting the animal life too. So
Okay, got the points. So you said it impacts human life, it impacts animal life. You have to stay away. So just an obvious question, like the farther you stay away, the signal strength is going to be lesser and lesser. And we anyway, I'm sure you're struggling with the signal strength right now, right? I mean,
yes.
somewhere in between I lost your voice, right?
Yes.
So obviously signal strength is inversely proportional to the distance, right? Or rather directly proportional with respect to the displacement. So what I'm asking you is, what do you think? I mean, you know that there is a problem. So I have a couple of questions. Do you have any factual data with you? I mean, did you get a chance to research any factual data saying that, you know, any published content, any authentic published content saying that, you know, this is the kind of damage that it can cause? Point number one. I'll ask two questions. And point number two, if even if you get something, the question is, do you believe that all the global organizational bodies, you know, which are responsible for giving licensing to any technology, for instance, why and how they have given the licenses? That is more from the perspective of, I want to know your opinion. Of course, there's no specific documentation of that, but I'm asking you, what do you think? I mean, do you think somebody has blindly done it? Do you think that they've just done it for business? Or do you think that, I mean, even if they do it for business, if there are no people in future, and how is the business going to survive anyways? Or is it such a short vision that, you know, only for the next 5 years you make your money and then it's gone? I mean, so these are the two questions. One, what is your factual references to the kind of damage it can cause, any factual information? And two, what is your thought about how somebody would have approved such things? Was I audible, Nitya?
Yes, sir. Sir, you're audible, sir.
So you got my two questions?
We did actually, our team had done some research, sir, on this, how 5G is affecting our Indian population. And we came through that the main reason is that we have to use 5G network and in a limited way. The only way is we can use in a limited way.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I mean, I just had two questions, so I just wanted you to be specific to the question. So do you have any factual data which says that it is going to impact? I mean, do you have anything right now as a factual data which you can refer? No. Okay. Second question is definitely subjective to your thought process and your opinion. If suppose it is proven, right, that it is going to cause damage, if suppose it is proven, how do you think the Telecom Authority of India, the TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, or the licensing bodies, the Government of India licensing bodies, you think you know, they would not have thought about this? Not just India, I mean, let's take globally, right? You've got World Health Organizations, you've got telecom regulatory associations, you've got so many licensing bodies. How do you think all of them have approved it? I mean, just what is your thought process? Of course, all of them are not corrupt, right? I mean, it's not that the entire world is corrupt.
In my opinion, sir, telecom services like that, whoever has to approve those kind of things, I think they must make some guidelines they would have make some guidelines, right, sir, regarding the measures they could take so that it does not affect people. So I think there could be a way that they think it is a solution for making our lives better. And if that impacts if that is beyond the limit, I think it is a bad idea, sir. Bad idea of approving those kind of things.
Understand. So Iucee, you are keeping the time, right? Sorry, I just don't want to miss out on the time.
Sure, we just finished 7 minutes for Nitya.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
We have been.
But I thought because there was
Yeah, the other team
was
was
not
not
there.
Yeah, from KLE. Anybody here from KLE who would like to
Speak.
counter Nitya's point and take over? Anybody from KLE who will be interested on the spot? Okay, you can move to the next team, Richard.
Okay, ma'am. So next battle is between the KRE, KARE and VVIT, where KARE will speak in favor of the topic and VVIT will speak against the topic. Now I request the speakers of KRE and VVIT to unmute themselves and speak one by one, allotting as the time is 7 minutes per speaker.
Could you stop sharing so I could put the limelight on the speaker, Richard? Thank you. Who's the speaker?
Ma'am, it's Ranji Shetty Yogananda from KARE and Mopi Devi Sai Nikhil from VVIT.
Where are they? We have 71 people here and we don't have the main participants.
Good evening.
They are.
Sai Nikhil, yes. Okay.
Nikhil.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. You can turn on your
Yeah.
video if you choose to. As I said, if you turn on the video, it's better because there's a debate. Expressions matter.
Okay, sir.
Perfect, Nikhil.
Okay, sir.
Yes, perfect, Nikhil. Go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
5G impacts a lot on human health conditions. There are so many advantages and there are so many drawbacks. The main drawback is limited coverage. It covers less limitage as 4G. 4G covers more area than 5G. Despite of global companies, the government working maximum. So the government has to work a maximum and has to implement a lot of cost to spread 5G. And the upload speed as compared to 5G, it is lesser. The battery damages there are a lot of battery damages for the mobiles as the 5G. And there will be rollovers for 5G as the airport and flights operation interference in the airports and flight operations due to 5G. Sir. As it is less encryption, cybersecurity risks are more when compared. Cybersecurity risks are more, and it damages health conditions of humans. And I think Satvika has already told that it is launched in Korea. It affects a lot as 5G networks affects a lot of human conditions, and it affects the health conditions of birds, and the navigations of the bird will also damages. The drawback of 5G is risk of hacking in this 5G networks. Another main problem is Air India has cancelled flights to US, as the telecom operations of the country are trying to overrule the 5G operations in the country. So Air India has cancelled its flights to US as it overrules the 5G networks with the flight networks.
Interesting, Nikhil. A lot of points that you have mentioned. Incidentally, understand that there was only a mention of health reasons, or rather some sort of a medical impact. But you have taken many other, challenges associated with 5G. So to that extent, I think it's slightly more elaborate. But I would want you to go one by one. Specifically, whatever you have mentioned about impact to flights, right? Airplanes.
Yes, sir.
Obviously,
Air India has. Yes, sir.
No, one second. I understand. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, this has got to do with the elements of DGCA as well, right? Which is Director General of Civil Aviation in India, at least.
Yes, sir.
So obviously, until DGCA approves, you know that you can't even construct tall buildings. You can't put towers. You can't even, get a telecom band or any sort of a
Yes, sir.
communication band unless DGCA approves. So what are your thoughts? You think DGCA has approved 5G, or you think they have not approved 5G? Because trials are already on. As we are talking today, you know that Reliance has declared 5G trials already.
Yes, sir. Reliance has
Airtel has declared 5G
Airtel has declared 5G
Yeah.
trials.
So do you think they've got the permission for doing the 5G trials from DGCA? And if yes, what do you think? I mean, did DGCA not understand that this is going to impact the airplanes?
I think they have considered some points, and their drawbacks also will be there, sir.
All right, so that's what I'm trying to ask you. Is there any factual information that you have about your case when you're saying that it is going to impact? Do you have any factual data? Do you have any factual proof? Do you have any factual information to say that it is affecting airplanes?
Yes, sir. As Air India has cancelled their flights in US, sir.
Well, Air India
This January.
I don't know. Air
This
India
Jan- in this year.
Now, Air India cancelling their flight to US has, I don't know if you have gone into the details of it. It is due to many, many reasons. And I don't know if you have a factual data, then I would want you to present that factual data. Would like to see that. If you have any factual
No, I
data
don't have,
as
sir.
to, yeah.
I have read
So,
it, sir.
I think normally, it would be good to have factual data as proof, when we are debates, right? I mean, so that we can kind of show right on the face and say that this is the reason.
I think this is one of the reasons for that.
Right. Let's move on from airlines. What is your topmost reason why you are against this topic? What is the number one reason? If you can reiterate. I think I slipped out of my mind.
It mainly damages the human health, sir. As the radiation.
Okay, so that's your first
increases.
point. Human health is first point,
Yes,
and
sir.
I already asked two questions to the previous speaker, and those two questions apply to you also. What is the factual proof that you have that it will impact human brain? Point number one. And point number two, if it really impacts human brain, how do you think Government of India or official bodies which are governing this whole space to issue licenses, how do you think they have given these licenses?
I'm not having the factual proofs.
Okay. Let's go to the second question then. Okay, you don't have factual proof, no problem. Let's go to the second point. The second point is, how do you think that government bodies who are responsible, for taking these decisions, how did you think they have given the licenses? What is your thought?
They have considered some limitations for every band of or wavelength to attain some certain limit of wavelength should be produced. Limitations like that. I think.
Okay. Any other point you have with respect to this? What is the third challenge that you mentioned? I mean, or the next challenge? Iucee, please keep the time and let me know if we are shooting over.
It damages batteries, sir. Phone batteries.
Yeah, that was the third point. What do you mean it damages battery? Sorry, I did not understand that.
As 5G band length is more now, sir. So now we are using 4G devices. So only some of the companies has introduced 5G devices. So not fully function 5G devices. So it may damage the phone battery.
What do you mean damage? Sorry, that's what I want to understand. What do you mean it damages phone battery? What do you mean? I did not understand that.
Means it takes draining the battery percentage.
So you're just saying that so it just consumes more electricity. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, sir.
So what's the problem? What's the problem with that?
Duration will be less, no, sir.
That's okay. They will change the battery technology and give you better batteries. That's okay. But how will it damage? It doesn't damage, right? Your duration of talk time will come down. At most, your duration of continuous talk time will come down. But it doesn't.
At
It doesn't
present,
work.
it is
So
not
what?
still developed, no, sir.
What is not developed?
5G devices are full function, not developed, no.
Do you have any factual proof for that?
No, sir.
Okay. Because when we are making a statement in a debate, I think it's all about having factual proof. Because there will always be somebody else who knows factually that what you're saying could be incorrect. So you know how you see. I mean, this cannot be. I mean, we don't want to debate like how it happens in political debates, right? Nobody has any factual data and they keep talking. I mean, when we are having a technology debate, I think we should talk with respect to some sort of a factual proof. Mathematically, you need to say that if it is going to consume or drain more battery, just because you change the frequency, it drains more battery. Do you have any mathematical relation? Can you tell me how more current consumption will happen just because of change in frequency? There is no such thing, right?
No, sir.
So you need to have a lot more factual proof in terms of making these kind of statements. Next, okay. Apart from next beyond battery, what is the next one?
Risk in cyber security, sir.
Cyber security, yeah. I did not understand that as well. How do you think change of frequency, especially the carrier frequency and the bandwidth, change of architecture of the bandwidth, how do you think that's going to introduce problems in cyber? First of all, cyber security. I mean, I'm a little kind of confused. Yeah.
As a lack of encryption during the connection process, 5G technology has easier targets.
Stop. One second.
Okay,
stop.
sir. Okay.
At 4G, you have a certain encryption, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that encryption good enough for cybersecurity as of today?
At most, it is good enough, sir.
No. It should be good, right? Because your bank account is not hacked yet, right?
Yes, sir.
So that means it's good enough, right? You're using phone banking. You're paying UPI payments. Billions of UPI transactions are happening in India, and at least till now, Reserve Bank of India has not said any major disaster with respect to cybersecurity in the UPI.
Cybersecurity threats.
So which means it is working as of now. Whatever is there in 4G is working. That's what we can assume, because 4G is there for the last 6 years, right? And there is no such major complaint about any sort of a disastrous cybersecurity concern, right?
Yes, sir.
So that means, in my opinion, cybersecurity is okay in the current scenario of 4G, which means encryption standards are okay in the current scenario of 4G. Now with 5G, I think if you consider evolution of technology, with 5G, the encryption can only become better, no? How can the encryption become bad? There is already a certain benchmark for 4G. When they are developing a 5G technology, you think they would have not considered the existing benchmark and then I think Lahari is there to support you. So Lahari, you can also unmute and then we can have a better debate. Go ahead and unmute and you can turn on your video if you wish. But I would like to hear from you also, Lahari. I mean, that's the fun, right? Having debates. Igjot, you are supposed to keep time. Please let me know because I will lose time for sure.
Actually, I have already prompted a direct message to you that the time has been exceeded.
No messages. You have to unmute and speak up. Say ding dong. Like, I don't know. Krishna has a beautiful style. I don't know if you're aware of that. So we have a bell. Krishna always carries bell. So here we don't have the bell, but you can always unmute and make a ding dong. And we'll understand we have run overshot. Anyways, Nikhil and Lahari, remain. Keep your thoughts alive. We will get back because there is the next speakers. Let's finish with them and then we'll come back to you.
Yes,
go ahead.
That can be possible.
Before that, I just want to make an announcement. I'm noticing a couple of participants of room 2 here. Roman, you are supposed to be in room 2. You're still here. Please click on the link I have shared with you in the chat. Go to your room because you will not be able to speak here and your turn out there is missing out. Are you listening, Roman?
Hey, all of you who are being called out, please unmute and speak up.
Yeah. If there is anybody here who belongs to room 2, 3, 4, or 5, please look at the link which was shared with you and go to your respective room. This is room 1. Okay, we can continue.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, this time for the third battle, that is between the TCE and KSRM. Now I request Ganesh Shankar Ram from TCE to unmute himself and speak in favor of battle. And KCRM from KCRM, that is Binglimla Venkata, to unmute and be ready in against.
Hello, sir. Hello, madam. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you. It would be great if you can also turn on your video. Oh, yeah. Yes, Ganesh. Perfect. Can see you now. Go ahead, Ganesh.
First, I mentioned advantages of using 5G technology. There are nearly 5 advantages in using 5G. First one is higher. Second one is higher low latency, and third one is more number of consumers per square kilometer, and then more easy data transaction and energy savings. First one is higher reliability. It is more for 5G is actually more reliable than 4G, and then low latency. Latency is the time taken from the network setup to data transaction, and it is nearly 10 times lower than that of 4G. And then energy savings, we can nearly save energy up to 10 times lesser than the what 4G consumes. Then seeing through the economy, world will by 2035 it will 5G will help in resulting in $13.2 trillion in global economy, generating 22.3 million jobs across the globe. And in India, we can generate nearly up to rupees 36.4 trillion in between 2023 and 2040. This is a factual report done by GSME, that is Global System for Mobile Communications. And then now 5G technology benefits are going to be realized in manufacturing sectors and in agriculture. In agriculture, the development is nearly up to 11%. In agriculture, it helps in finding the right amount of pesticides to be used in ample amount of land. Then what plant should be seeded, and what all necessary stuffs to be used while at a particular time of a year. Then we can use drone technology and smart farming in using 5G. Drone technology actually helps in finding the diseases earlier and report it to the farmer, so that he can change the plant at the start itself, so that he doesn't incur too much losses. Then in manufacturing sectors, it is nearly 20% of the total benefit. The first one is the industry can deliver more products and at a faster pace at that year. And then by 2030, 5G will account for more than third of a total connections in India, with the share of 2G and 3G dwindling to less than 10%. At present, the 79% of consumers have adopted 4G, which is a good number, so that the subscriber base is ready to for the transition from 4G to 5G. Then with the proportion of connected adults in India has grown. A third of those covered by mobile broadband networks do not use the service, according to the report. Then the general band gap is becoming less in 5G, with nearly 14% between the men and the women. past teams have mentioned that 5G has an impact in health sector, but according to me, it really helps in health sector. 5G helps in 4P medicine. 4P is predictive, preventive, personalized, and participatory. First one is predictive. Predictive is equipped with a constant flow of instantaneous data on patients' vital signs and relevant alerts, so that the new health ecosystem will be better able to predict the risk to patients. Second one is preventive. During the COVID time, South Korea had implemented the 5G technology in their airports to check the people from other countries if they have COVID or not. South Korean telecom communication is the world's largest wireless telecom service. Then personalized. 5G can help in providing substantial opportunities for personalizing people's healthcare experiences and interventions. Then participatory. In US, people nearly use, a single person nearly uses 5,000 hours to take care of themselves. This will be really reduced while using 5G. This is a report mentioned by the US government in 2019. Then
okay, so great, Ganesh. I mean, a lot of things that you mentioned. Of course, the list can go on and on because benefits can be simply listed. But I have a couple of questions to begin with.
Yeah.
First and foremost, many times when we are trying to introduce a new technology, it is more or less killing the previous technology, and it is forcing people to upgrade to the newer technology. I don't know whether, let's take India as a country. India as a country operates heavily on feature phones, right?
Yeah.
Of late, smartphones are picking up, but we know what are the cost of smartphones versus feature phones. Of course, there are other factors like, the huge scams that are going on with respect to mobile phones. Majority of these mobile phones are manufactured by China. What kind of a threat we have in India. We are pretty much 84% of Indian mobile industry is in the Indian mobile market is dominated by Chinese suppliers, Chinese phone makers. So with all the introduction of 5G, obviously we are all being forced to discard our 4G phones and buy new 5G phones, which means in a short period of time, very short period of time, we are going to generate huge revenue for China, right? By we buying mobile phones in India. How do you handle this situation, especially introduction of 5G? This is only happening because 5G phones are coming. Otherwise, we will continue to use the existing phones, so there will not be a sudden revenue spike. Point number one. The second point that I have is, every time a new technology is introduced, these phones that are existing 4G phones, I have a 4G phone with me right now. It's working very well. It's beautiful. I'm using it very well. But once the 5G comes, I am forced to go to 5G because there will be some apps that will be developed on it. That app will not work on this 4G phone because it has a certain capability in 5G phone. I will not be able to use that. So I'll have to throw this phone and buy a new phone when this phone is perfectly fine working for me. Which means suddenly you will notice a lot of people throwing away, discarding, because nobody's going to buy this, right? No buyback offer. And even if they give a buyback offer, where are these going? Where are these phones going? It's all going for the landfill, right? It's all waste. So suddenly with the forceful introduction of 5G, there will be so much waste creation in the world, including plastics, including the glass. All of this is going to go waste, right? Of course, there will be some recovery in ICs, but then that's very, very less compared to the amount of waste that it creates. What do you think we are going to do with so much of waste that gets created in the country? I have some more questions, but these are the first two questions that I want you to think about and answer.
The first one you are telling us that the transition between 4G and 5G is not applicable for India. This was the same question when 4G was introduced, when we were using 3G phones.
Correct, and that is why China managed to attack on India also, right? Because in 4G we gave so much of money to China from India. The forex, the forex situation in India is such that India is a net importer of all these products from China, which means you're paying money to them, right? Ultimately. So they got enough money from India and then happened to attack India. So now with 5G, they're going to get more money from India because you're going to give them instantaneously so much of money. They're going to get more money from India and attack further.
The transition phase from 4G to 5G, I guess, will consume nearly up to 5 to 10 years. Within that space, India can develop more phones in India itself. And people can consume it.
You're saying the window is 5 to 10 years? Is that what you said? I mean, did I hear you properly?
Yeah.
So when did 4G come into India?
I don't know the exact number. Yeah.
No problem. Take a guess. Is it 10 years? Definitely not. I remember partially because when I purchased this phone, it was 4G and it was upgrading to 4G LTE, and this phone is 5 years old. So it is approximately somewhere around 2015 that we had 4G entering into India. We are hardly 7 years away, and we already are deciding that we are going to do away with 4G completely and move into 5G. So these are the two questions. Think about it, ponder about it. You're going to have counter from your other team also. Iucee has given me a thumbs up of time completion. So we have to go to the next speaker. But you are on track, on the spotlight as well. Sampada has put you on the spotlight right now. So keep thinking. We have a debate continuing. Go ahead, Iucee. Next speaker.
And I think Dushyant is also adding some points. So we'll come back to those.
Absolutely. A lot of points coming up. So it's exciting. So let's hear the other side of the story.
Yes, who is from another college?
Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Hope I am audible.
Yeah, you're audible, but you have to tell the name, because then Sampada will change the light on your face.
Spotlight, yeah.
I'm Tarun Kumar from KSRM College of Engineering, Autonomous, Kadapa.
Okay.
And I would like to speak a few details regarding the negative impact of 5G technology on Indian population. First of all, the main challenge that we encounter with the advent of new 5G technology on India is radiation. We all are aware that the population density in India is much higher in India when compared to that of advanced countries where 5G is already in use. And now the 5G, as we move from 2G to 3G and from 3G to 4G, in the days ahead, the frequency band in use also kept moving up. Higher the frequency, the more is the hyperic conditions. What it indirectly tells is that we need to establish more number of cell towers per square kilometer, which would be a burden for the Indian government to construct the compatible cell towers for the incoming 5G technology. The expansion of antennas for 5G would be substantially much higher as compared to that of 4G. So far, the frequency that proposed to use in 5G technology was up to 5 gigahertz. But for best results, the operators are going to use nearly 20 to 40 gigahertz, which would result in health hazards. Also, it is a known fact that electromagnetic radiations are very harmful for mankind. While it is discrete for some extent use, but it will be it will be harmful if you use it for. So want that have also warned that the health risk regarding 5G.
Okay, Tarun, I know you're repeating a lot on health, so I understood. I think we all discussed a lot of information. Again, 2 questions to you. Any factual proof? And what do you think? All these government organizations that have given the license, what do you think they're doing? So point number, in any case, as you think about these 2, my other questions that I have for you is, something that you said about 5G in terms of population density. Can you explain a little more about that? Because I did not understand what exactly you meant.
So we are aware that India is a populous country. The connectivity also should be broad, very broad, should be broad across the India. So that may lead to more radiation, which indirectly affects
Shall
the
I ask you
health
some
of the
questions? Shall I ask you some questions? Hold on.
Yes,
So
sure.
you're saying population density in the country is high, but
Yes.
you must be aware that population density, if you look at it in specific, is very high in almost all the city capitals of every single country. You go to New York City in US, population density is very high. The highest population density in a city is actually in Mumbai, followed by Tokyo, Japan. And we are talking about 5G is about towers, setting up of towers. That's your concern, right?
Yes, sir, exactly.
That means because of the population density, and more importantly, it's not just population density for more number of towers. It is actually, you need to also consider the high-rise buildings around, which also attenuate and kill your signals, right? So the kind of towers with more power in terms of radiation and the number of towers being more will be higher in developed countries with high population density compared to developing countries like India, because we don't have as many high-rise buildings, except for some key areas such as Noida or some places in Mumbai and Bangalore and Hyderabad. That too only key pockets where you have tall buildings. If you go a little away, hardly there are any tall buildings, hardly there is any attenuation opportunity. So the theory countering your point is that you need more towers in developed countries, capital cities, or large cities of developed countries, which are having higher population density than India. For example, Beijing, for example, Shanghai, for example, Tokyo, for example, London or New York. They are having higher population densities than that of a sparsely populated place in India. So how do you think about that? And obviously they've done all the research. At that population density, more number of towers, higher power dispensation across towers. What are your thoughts?
I think that 5G technology should be restricted only over the population.
No, I'm only asking about population density. You mentioned population density, so I'm talking about population density. That's all. So do you accept that your population density theory is incorrect? Because population density in cities such as Tokyo, such as London, Paris, such as New York, Munich is very high. You can open right now Wikipedia and look at the population density of cities, and you'll see Tokyo right up there. Hong Kong, for example, Beijing, Shanghai, Taipei. Obviously, they have all approved 5G, having high population density. So what's your take on that? Anyways, go to the next point. I mean, if you have anything to counter, I'm willing to listen. Go ahead. Anybody in the group can also help Tarun, just in case you have a point to discuss. Go ahead, Tarun. Any other points? This is about population density. Is there anything else that you have in mind?
Sir, that's it, sir.
Think about it. If you get a counter, please come back and we'll still have a debate on this.
Okay.
Yes, Iucee.
1 minute left and it's done. Now it's done. Even I was enjoying, sir. You were asking us such a great and a good questions regarding population. I was also entertained. Great work, guys.
Kalyan, he's getting entertained. Give him a question to answer.
Which side are you? Are you for or are you against? First you decide that. Then the questions will follow.
Ma'am, I have attended.
No, you can't take a neutral stand, okay? I'm not going to accept any neutral stance. You have to be either for or against. Either this side or that side.
Yes, sir.
And I see some messages coming from Shravani and from Dushyant. And I think Lehari also had things to say. So
yes, Shravani has said something. So yes, Shravani, I think we all talk about birds and insects, and we are talking about specifically, with respect to radiation. But the fact of the matter is, you need to think about these facts, think and come back, check and come back. I would go very specific. I don't want to talk about generic birds and insects, because birds and insects is such a large category. The number of species of birds and insects that exist under the category of birds and insects is so high that you cannot talk in general, right? There are, if for example, if you are aware, talking about insects, for example, cockroaches can withstand a nuclear reactor radiation, right? I mean, even if a nuclear bomb falls, cockroaches can survive, right? So you cannot say in general that if there is a radiation, then you will have some insects dying or some birds dying. Each one of them has a very, very specific capability. So we cannot speak about this in general. But having said that, you have a valid point. So we will go a little specific. If I go specific, let's go to butterflies, for example, right? Butterflies, especially the colored butterflies. Butterflies, right? There are different types of butterflies. The butterflies which are very colorful, especially light colors. There are dark colored butterflies and light colored butterflies. If you pick the category of light colored butterflies, you might almost have observed by now, I don't know which city you live in or which village side you live in, but if you observe, cities have, in cities, butterflies are practically extinct. You don't find colorful blood. Even if you see a butterfly in a city, like if I say like Bangalore, they will all be dark colored butterflies. You will not find that pale yellow butterflies or pale green butterflies or bluish butterflies, light blue butterflies. You don't see them in cities because they're very sensitive animals. They die with the lightest deterioration of air quality. What is your counter for air pollution as a reason for killing of birds and insects in comparison to the 5G radiation, for example, or 5G frequency, for example? Air pollution has already caused a much, much higher damage. If you compare the impact of these two damages, air pollution's damage has been much, 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 much higher compared to what 5G could cause damage. I would like to hear from you all. What is your thought about it? Hummingbirds, butterflies, sparrows have been a very clear indicators of air pollution.
The point is, by observing the sparrows extension only, I message sir.
Yeah, so the sparrow extinction has a higher impact because of air pollution compared to 5G radiation.
So if once 5G introduced, it is also clear that we can't say sparrow. So that I'm thinking, so we can go to that stage also. But every living being is important, no sir. That's the reason I am against 5G.
Now, completely understand. Do you have any proof, any evidence to show that 5G impacts, a given bird or a insect more compared to existing 4G? Is there any proof? Is there any evidence?
No, sir.
I rest my case.
I will get the information. I will research, sir, on this one.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Ganesh has also added some point further.
Ganesh says that 4G will continue to dominate the market even after arrival of 5G. He mentions that performance of 4G will increase after the arrival of 5G. There will be a smooth transformation. Well, these are all obviously hypotheses, so that is fine. Only time can prove. What are the factors that are considered for this becomes more important. But even then, it is fine, right? I mean, whether it is this or that or otherwise. See, I don't know if you're aware of predominantly most 2G towers were used for 4G, but 3G became a gap. So that's why we don't have 3G at all. I don't know if you're aware, after introduction of 4G, within a matter of 2 to 2.5 years, none of the 3G existed. I mean, after that, you don't have 3G anymore, right? Do you have a 3G tower? Are you aware? I mean, there are a few towers, obviously. That is because of what was already there. But a lot of 3G towers had to be removed, and the equipment had to be fitted with 4G, because the 3G and 4G had very different architectures, whereas the 2G and 4G have slightly similar architectures. So I don't know how far this will be true. If 5G is going to be what it claims to be, then it is just a matter of time for us to wait and watch whether 4G will continue to be existing the way it is, or it might improve, or 5G will take over completely.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, I have a doubt, sir. May I ask?
Yeah, please go ahead. Good. I don't know if
sir,
it's a debate, so we can all debate. No problem.
I don't know whether it is a good question to ask, or it's like it can be a controversial question. But
debate means controversy. Go ahead.
Sir, 5G networks, as we know, it's brought by Reliance, Geo network. It's coming under a big billionaire, Ambani, and Airtel also is a government company, and no small companies are going to bring.
1 second, factual correction. Airtel is not a government company. It's a it's a private enterprise. It is owned by Bharti Group, which is owned by Sunil Mittal. So it's not a government company.
Yes, sir. I wanted to say that they are under the big people influence, and if 5G is also gonna cause any problems, like the government is gonna support to the new rich people only. Why would they will be focusing on the problems? Like we know the basic the rich people only wins every time.
Agreed. So I understand where you're coming from. So of course you're referring to the point of corporate scam or corporate corruption. But the fact of the matter is, okay, in one or two countries here and there is fine, but 5G has been accepted globally, right? It's not only in India that 5G is coming, isn't it? It's accepted in all countries of the world. Of course, in all countries of the world there is corporate lobby, and in all countries of the world there is a problem. But the fact of the matter is, all countries of the world have evaluated, have all the bodies that are responsible have evaluated and given the licenses, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So it's not just India. It's not just Ambani or Sunil Mittal, right?
Yes, sir. I agree with you. Yes, sir.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I have a question for you. When did you buy your last phone, sir? Your present phone, sir?
Yeah. 2016, man.
The average lifetime of a phone in India is 6 to 8 years, sir.
Yeah.
You asked me a question that my phone is working good. Am I forced to buy another phone if 5G comes?
Correct.
The average lifetime is 6 to 8 years. Then, according to reports, you may consume this phone maximally up to next 4 years, sir. After that, you may change your phone, sir.
Exactly right. So I can see that the probability of this operating for the next 4 years is shortened immediately within a span of 6 months, and I am forced to buy and I have to discard, which means imagine how many phones which could have served until 2026. How many such phones will have to be discarded right away and go into a landfill and spoil the environment in a short span of 5 to 6 months? Today, if 5G comes, just because I cannot operate a particular app on my existing mobile phone, I will be forced to buy a new phone, correct?
Sir, they have mentioned that in India, when 5G comes, you are not forced to use 5G directly when it comes, sir. You can use 4G, and when you opt for 5G, you can go, sir. And transition from 4G to 5G is not as from 3G to 4G, sir. 2G and 3G were They have mentioned that the bandwidth is bandwidth between 2G and 3G is different, and between 5G, 4G and 5G is different. That means the band difference. And then they have mentioned that I have mentioned in chat, sir, that Prabhuram, I also mentioned that the transition is not as from 3G to 4G. It is slightly smoother than what from 4G to 5G, sir.
Again, as I said, Ganesh, so this is just an opinion. So what happens is, we don't know. It depends on the number of applications, the new type of technologies that gets built on 5G, for example. Let me give you one example for this. One of the simplest example that I can give you is 3G to 4G. You did not have Netflix running on 3G, right? Nobody imagined that in 4G comes and you'll have Netflix coming, and then it becomes a common thing across all the content transmission. Today you're having 4G LTE, which gives you a seamless throughput of videos, correct? You and I are talking right now. I don't know, many of them might have been connected through their mobile phones. They're able to see me, see you talking, look at our videos only because it is 4G. If it was 3G, definitely this meeting wouldn't have happened, for sure. So an application called Zoom came into existence, an application called Teams came into existence, an application called as Netflix came into existence because of the fact that you have 4G as a technology. Of course, Netflix existed, but then it was only through a broadband that you could use Netflix. Only after it came on mobile phones, it became very profitable, right? Otherwise, it was not profitable as you see it today. So with 5G coming in, what are the new technologies that will come? I don't know, you don't know. Nobody imagined in 3G that I can watch a movie on my mobile phone through Netflix. Nobody even thought about it, that this could happen. Nobody thought that in a mobile phone I can talk like how you and I are talking. Always we needed a laptop, we needed a physical wire broadband connection in your home. That was the only imagination. Nobody thought that if I'm going in a bus or a train or a car, I can take a video call. Nobody even imagined it during 2G, 3G days. Today we are still talking without knowing the power of 5G. Suppose tomorrow when 5G comes, the power of 5G is that it will be life transformatory. Who knows? I don't know what those transformations could be. But if it is transformatory, literally transformatory, like how 4G did for movie industry and virtual communication industry, if some new industry comes up, obviously you will discard 4G and go to 5G, right?
Yes.
Just because 3G was not giving me a video call, I had to come to 4G. That is the only reason. I couldn't do a video call. Iucee, the time is 6:32. I don't know what is your stop.
Yes, sir. 6:32. We'll be stopping at 6:35 or 6:40. Don't worry.
Yeah, in fact, there are few more messages on the chat, and Apurv has written Chirag. Of course, he spoke. You can unmute and speak, Apurv.
Yeah, please. All of you, whoever wants to make a point, please unmute and speak up.
Hello, everyone. Hello, sir. I just wanted to mention that there is a high possibility that 5G will be much more beneficial to the fields that required real-time communication, where it's very crucial for that. And I am not so sure about the more domestic applications. And as you mentioned, 4G is currently doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and it will probably remain. But 5G for like scientific and research purposes, that will probably be the better option.
Dushyant and Chirag, do you have anything to add further, or Ganesh? Lahari? Anybody wants to ask a question? If you don't want to, or if you don't have a view, but you have a question or a doubt, you can put your question to the jury here.
Sir, when 5G comes, good evening, sir. when 5G comes. So still in many parts of India, many of the farmers and related, no one still they have experienced 4G only, sir. When 4G, जब 4G आया था, जब जियो ने छोड़ा था, जब तक भी 3G किसी ने एक्सपीरियंस नहीं किया था. And when we are talking about the network and all, so the poles, no sir, the 3G poles was like one in like 2 kilometers, the range, one here and one here. When this 4G was coming, the pole distance was decreased to within 100 meters, sir. For to take example, when I was living in Bangalore, sir, which you know as the Silicon City. So when my mother used to feel a lot of headaches, sir. You know, when I'm having a high structure building with mega structure planning and all, the companies will contact directly to me only. They don't care, sir. They utterly don't care about the health and all. They come like, we will pay you 50,000 per month. You just give us the permission to build the pole above your roof because we can get a very good signal. Sir, my friend used to live below that pole, sir, and he has got some problem in his head and some related these things, sir. So they shifted to to their this one village, and they are presently homeopathy chal raha abhi uska. And
Understand,
sir,
Roman.
because
So
of
I
the
understand your
5G,
point. I
yes,
understand
sir.
your point that you're talking about specific health conditions. लेकिन प्रश्न ये है कि अगर सच में there was a problem, इंडिया में छोड़ो, ये सिचुएशन तो ग्लोबली है ना. Everywhere you have towers. Everywhere you have towers put up on buildings only. Maybe ठीक है, might not be on a residential tower, residential building, but definitely in a commercial tower. Commercial tower का मतलब क्या है? It's your office. Office का मतलब क्या है? You spend 8 hours or 9 hours a day there. जितना आप घर में टाइम स्पेंड करते हो, लगभग उतना ही आप ऑफिस में टाइम स्पेंड करते हो इफेक्टिवली, है ना?
Yes, sir.
So why blame on a residential building where you have this problem? Office में भी हो सकता है. If at all that is true, and if at all that was true, why would all these, see, अगर offices बड़े-बड़े buildings में आपके office towers जो है ना, especially talking about the riches of the world that you mentioned, actually the biggest of the biggest towers जहाँ पे मोबाइल फोन का टावर लगा हुआ है, वो भी एक बड़े-बड़े कंपनी के बिल्डिंग पे भी लगा हुआ है ना. You come in front of ITPL, यहाँ पे जो बैंगलोर आप बात कर रहे हो, ITPL is one of the premium IT corridor buildings in Bangalore, right? उसके ऊपर भी मोबाइल टावर लगा हुआ है. If it was causing so much of a problem, उसका भी दिमाग खराब होना चाहिए था. He should have faced the problem. उसका भी हेड में प्रॉब्लम आना चाहिए था. Because you spend, बैंगलोर में तो आपको पता ही है, सॉफ्टवेयर फील्ड में 12-12 घंटे लोग काम करते हैं ऑफिस के अंदर बैठ के. More than what you stay in house, you stay in office. So I am sure all the people living in that tower should have headache.
Sir, one point, sir, the count of the sparrows and the crows. Sparrows so तो बहुत decrease हो गया. अभी crows तो extinct होने वाले. Sir, if this happens at a great rate, then the food cycle of this ecosystem
Absolutely
will be
valid,
damaged.
sir. I completely agree with you. इसीलिए मैं बोल रहा था कि air pollution is a bigger reason why sparrows are dying. Do you agree with that?
Obviously,
even let's get to this point. Even before mobiles came into existence in India, है ना? Even forget about 4G, 5G, even before 2G, which means no mobile tower at all, when we were using landlines. Even then, in cities, butterflies became extinct, sparrows became extinct. Mumbai में तो sparrow का S भी पता नहीं था किसी को. Pigeons have become double, triple, 10 times. Pigeons have increased, but sparrows became extinct in Mumbai long ago. You're talking in 2022. 2000 के पहले ही sparrow सब गायब हो गया था मुंबई में. Bangalore city में भी, if you go to urban centers, 2000 के पहले ही गायब हो गया था. Only in rural areas you had. So the question is, air pollution causes much higher damage, much higher damage to these so-called, the topic of birds and insects that you're referring to, especially colorful butterflies that I explained earlier, and sparrows that I explained earlier. They have a larger impact because of air pollution than 5G or 4G. So what will be your take on that? क्योंकि सांस तो continuously तुम सांस भी ले रहे हो ना, और उसमें जितना impurities जा रहा है, what about that? Why blame 5G? Why blame 5G? First, let's fix the air pollution problem, no? Because of air pollution, humans में asthma problem है ना? lungs में problem है. People say that in cities like Bangalore or in cities like Mumbai, if you walk outside during peak hours for 20 minutes, it is as good as smoking 30 cigarettes.
Yes,
What do we
sir.
do about that? So there are bigger problems at hand than this in that context. I'm just giving a relative comparison.
Yes, sir. Good. Thank you, sir.
Of course, that doesn't mean
Excuse me, sir.
It's all good. Go ahead.
I want to continue what the colleague said actually. Sir, so we are talking about the air pollution is only the major cause, so that sparrows.
I'm not saying
there.
major. Sparrows extinction के लिए it is not necessarily 5G. 5G आने से पहले, 4G आने से पहले, 2G आने से पहले already extinct हो चुके हैं in several cities. That's all I'm saying, nothing else.
So that if we introduce 5G, so is there any way to reduce the air pollution so that in the similar way we can also save the birds' life like that?
No, obviously, these are two different topics.
As we are saying that 5G technology is doing many ways developing, right, sir? So is there any way to reduce the air pollution by using the 5G so that we can save the lives of the birds and even human health problems also?
Who knows? For example, yeah. Go ahead, sir. I didn't notice that you were here.
No, I just wanted to understand this. I don't know who was asking the question. Somebody, Shravani. Yeah, Shravani. Sparrows, yes, that is a very sad topic, and something has to be done about it by us. I agree. Any idea about, in general, what is the radiation effect on birds and what is the effect of particulate emissions on birds? For example, the electricity we are right now using primarily comes from coal. Has there been any attempt to understand how much coal emissions and how much of vehicular population and its emission is killing birds in cities? Apart from 5G, of course, 5G is the new culprit on the block, so we have to handle 5G as well. But before that, any idea about this?
Hey, Kalyan, how are you?
Now.
Hello, Krishna sir. How are you, sir?
Anirudh, how are you?
Hi, sir.
Everybody else, Jyot, the whole gang, his team is back again. Good.
Yes,
Good to see everybody again.
Krishna, the real debate is happening now. Anirudh posed a question.
5G. Related to the same topic of 5G. 5G is an electromagnetic radiation. I guess all are engineers, so you understand this. All of you have had antennas on top of your house for decades. Any idea what is the emission possible from them and what is the harm already created because of that physically, where the birds get entangled in the latakne wala cables and wires and they die? Also, the electromagnetic radiation from the UHF band, which is coming from these kind of antennas, and your dish antennas also, which give a lot of radiation. Any idea? They're right outside your window. Any idea?
The DTH that Anirudh is referring to.
Direct to hell. I'm sorry, direct to home.
No, sir, that is entertainment, sir. उसके बारे में बात नहीं करना है.
No, I'm just asking because I don't understand that data. So when we speak about this, I'm sure. So any idea about what is the specific absorption rate or SAR difference between a 5G instrument, a 3G instrument, a 2G instrument, and a 1G instrument? Anybody? Forget about sparrows. What is the emission radiation in terms of specific absorption rate which your instruments give you, your Apple Watch or any other watch gives you when you wear it and you put it to your ear? Any idea from anyone? We are debating about sparrows and animals and birds. It is very nice. What about us? And any idea about the Bluetooth frequency which is emitted from the mobile when you hold it so close to your head, or you put on a Bluetooth and you talk to the phone 20 feet away? What is the frequency of that radiation and what is the resonance with the brain, which is also working on electricity? Any idea? What is the resonance causing possibility between these two? Anybody?
Sir,
5G
if
phones
we,
do not have particularly high SAR values, sir. Okay, how much are they? How much are they?
You can all Google whoever is sitting parallelly.
Yeah, I think Varsha and Soumya have some counterpoint. Speak it up.
I'm
The
asking
time is up.
I'll come in 5 minutes.
Varsha,
Oh.
Soumya, do you have something to say?
Now, I see a lot of subjective, much faster, much slower, dheere se, that. Are we talking about music or are we talking about technology? I don't understand. I'm joking. If you want to make policies, we better have hard data. And if we are not working on hard data, then we all can become poets. Either way, we are following excellent icons, whether in the industry or on the political arena, right? Which most of us want to do. We are engineers, but then poets at heart. Or we are poets, but we want to make policies on technology. That is okay. Interchangeability of jobs is a part of our life. Can we be specific when we are, really debating as engineers?
Hey, Varun, go on, please go on. There is no asking, may I answer? You just have to
I
unmute
didn't
and
ask.
speak
Sorry, I
talking.
directly went into the stream. I also didn't ask. Sorry if I'm taking
No,
away.
absolutely. Varun, just unmute and speak, man. Of course, until Iucee says enough is enough, all of you stop and I will talk.
Yeah, after Varun speaks, we have to stop and start the next session.
Yes, ma'am. Just I have to present.
Varun, you're on quickly.
Sir, I'm differentiating the two, sir.
A little loud.
Madam, the radiation is of two types, ma'am. Ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation.
Yes.
And the radiation that does not affect us is non-ionizing radiation, sir. The Bluetooth signals and these radiation is non-ionizing radiation, sir. That's why that's my answer, sir.
Can you tell me what is the frequency of Bluetooth?
Sir, I don't know, sir. Sorry.
It's 2.4 gigahertz, all of them. Your Wi-Fi, everything, including your microwave ovens. They're all 2.4 gigahertz. And now tell me what is the frequency of 4G that you're operating? 1.8 and 900 megahertz and 1.8 gigahertz. So I would like to understand what exactly is the difference. And by the way, all the Wi-Fi that you're having, you also have a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi in your home. You can go and check the router. Just pick up the router, look underneath it. It will be written 2.4 gigahertz / 5 gigahertz because these days the newer Wi-Fi's have both these bands. Just for your information.
And then you can include Wi-Fi 6 as well, right?
Yeah.
6.4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, in my issue, I say that the ionizing radiation.
Yeah, I think somebody spoke in between. Varun, if you have points to say, just say it.
Madam, I'm saying that the non-ionizing energy do not have the enough frequency to ionize our electrons in our body, ma'am. So it won't affect us. The ionization means the signals from our mobile, ma'am. The radiation from our mobile. They don't have sufficient energy to ionize our electrons in our blood and in our body.
Okay. Is it very clear what is ionizing and non-ionizing? Is there a very clear-cut boundary which is there not written on Wikipedia?
Sir, I think that ionizing means that ionizes our electrons in our body. Sir.
Unable to hear him. Sorry.
Yeah. I think we'll move on to the next session.
Okay.
Good one, Varun. Good point to ponder upon. No doubt about it. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt. The debate was going with a good flow, but sorry, I have to complete with the time. Otherwise, we won't be complete our event within time. So this is truly a wonderful fest for all of us, for all of our years. I request the jury members to express their opinions. Already they have done it. Thanks for all to being here, all the jury members. You inspired us. I also want to thank all the students who came to the session, whether you won or lost. This is a first step that you have took into your progress. May I wish you a prosperous future. Thank you to all. Just I am presenting a memento to Dr. Kalyan Ram, the jury of room 1, with an applause. Thank you, sir. And thank you all the juries. Now I am handovering the session to Neil and Surya Praveen for alumni talks.
So, good evening, everyone. Welcome back. With great honor and pleasure, I welcome you all to this enlightening session of our IUCEE Student Summit, that is the Alumni Talk. I am your host, Mr. Surya Praveen, along with Mr. Neil Bapat, my co-host. IUCEE has established a tradition to stay in contact with our proud alumni. Well, following the path, IUCEE has organized an Alumni Talk in the Student Summit 2022. I know time does not stop for anyone, and it takes a lot to take some time out of their busy schedule to be here. I would like to thank each and every one of the alumni panelists for taking out their time and be here. Thank you. But I'm sure at the end of the session, the experience you all take home will be worth the time that you all spare today. So without further delay, let's start the alumni talk.
We have 4 alumni for today. First, we are happy to introduce Mr. Purnaditya Mishra, who had completed his Bachelor in Automation and Robotics in June 2022 and doing his MS in Artificial Intelligence from the University of Michigan. Heartily welcome you, sir.
Hello guys, good morning. I mean, it's my good morning, but probably your good evening. It's a real honor to be here, and I always love attending IUCEE events. And first of all, I'd like to thank Sampada ma'am for giving me the opportunity. So, so I'll start with telling something about my journey. I did a bachelor's in automation and robotics, as was mentioned earlier, and it was really an amazing experience. But I mean, you all know that we have to study, get good grades and all, so I won't repeat those things. I'll mainly highlight on the importance of connections. Connections are actually very important. People say that you need LinkedIn, but yeah, it helps a lot, especially when you need a job or internship or a reference or just anything. I actually got my internship via LinkedIn, so that helps. Plus, it's really crucial to work on projects and use the resources that are at your hand. Your college provides a lot of resources which maybe you might not know about. So ask around, meet your faculty, meet your seniors. They'll tell you what all things you can utilize. You have a lot of clubs, you have a lot of labs, utilize everything. Because these things actually help you a lot. You can get good grades, that is fine. But you also need to learn the skills that help you to utilize those grades, those knowledge in the real world. Because just grades don't help you get far. And I know many of you might be planning to go for a master's degree after your final year. So it's pretty easy to get, to be frank. You don't have to do much, just fill in an application. And yeah, you have to give the standardized test. So that is a thing. But apart from it, it is not much. But yeah, it is one hell of experience. You get to learn a lot of things, especially once you're out of your country. You actually learn to cook by yourself. I never used to cook. I was in a hostel and I used to just make Maggie after every 3 days. The rest of the times I had a mess, but now I have to cook. So yeah, that is an amazing experience. Plus the change of culture literally forces you to learn things, and that opens the mindset. So that's a bit from my end. I hope other speakers have more to add to it.
Thank you, Purnaditya, for your words. It was thought-provoking. We would like to congratulate for your presence within a small memento.
But don't go away, the session continues.
Yes, sir, I'll be here.
Yeah. The next alumni for the night is Juhi Ithro. She has completed her bachelor's in computer science engineering from Vasi Reddy Venkadatri Institute of Technology in the year 2022. Hearty welcome, Juhi.
Hello guys, thanks for having me here. Well, much like Aditya, well, most of us, the 4 members on the alumni panel today, are all 2022 graduates. I graduated last month. Right now, I'm preparing for GRE. In fact, I want to transition my career from engineering towards finance. That's been my interest for a very long time. Today's session from my end is going to be focused on what you can do in order to go and apply for these schools and compare various standardized tests. You can always contact me later on for further information. First off, there's the option of GRE and GMAT, depending on whether you want to go for MS or for MBA, so on and so forth. What's the difference between the two? In a nutshell, if you're strong in the verbal section, go for GRE. It also doubles to apply for MS. If you're really strong with the quant and aptitude part, go for GMAT. But why do these two in the first place? They want to know that you have the basic foundations that are required in order to keep up with the course that's being taught during masters, right? It's good. It's all like 8 to 10 grade syllabus, but you can do it with a little bit of preparation and a lot of consistency. How do you know about which universities to apply for or what opportunities exist out there though? One big recommendation I would give, adding to Aditya's point, is connections through LinkedIn and also attending online and offline career fairs and forums. One website that really helped me in the beginning was Business Because. It really caters towards, B school applicants. Third thing is keeping note of application deadlines. In India, the semester usually begins in September in some states, in March in other states. It really depends on the board, right? But when you come for universities abroad, some people have rolling admissions. You can join in anytime. Other universities tend to, I'll answer the question later towards the end, Nambi. Other schools tend to have certain rounds throughout the year. Some have 2 to 3 rounds, some may have 5 rounds, and you really need to keep note of all your application deadlines. Try to keep all your resources at one place, be it a Google Docs or an Notion page, so you're really up to date on everything. Next up, feel free to contact the admissions committee. One hesitation that most of us might have in the bachelor stage, or, we're all baby adults, we're just starting out. We might hesitate to contact people because we don't know them yet, right? Get used to making those cold calls or giving those messages to reach out. This really reminds me, having a mentor is really important. A mentor in the sense, someone who is in a stage of life or career that you'd wish to reach in the next few years because they've already been in your stage before. They've been through the ups and downs, and they can give whatever advice they wish they could have reached at that stage in their lives. Embrace everything about yourself, not just your successes, but also your failures. Those are all learning experiences for you. Well, I would like to sign this off by saying, be proactive. Do your research before sending in your applications or applying for B schools. And remember to craft a really strong application. All the best.
Thank you, Joey, for enlightening us with your words. Thank you so much. For the valuable sessions at Iucee 2022. Now, I would like to introduce the next alumni with us, Ms. Ferrick Himan, who has completed BE in Computer Science and Technology from BH Gardi College of Engineering and Technology, and working in Servo Solution at Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Here she is to lead up our mind on big future of data. I cordially invite Ferrick Himan.
Thank you,
so much for the brief introduction, Neil.
Welcome you.
I would like to highlight that I was supposed to speak about big data, but I'm going to speak as an alumni of Iucee now. So thank you so much for the introduction. And I am Ferry Kimani. I graduated this year as an IT engineer, and I'm working as a business analyst at Stribo Solutions right now. And it's an honor to be here today. I remember being like one of those audiences where you're sitting right now. So it's really an honor to be here today. I thank Sampada ma'am for that. So I'm going to start with my journey and learnings about industries, interviews, and everything else that one needs to qualify among 100 other candidates that you're competing with. During my last year of engineering, like after giving interviews for a lot of companies and being selected in a few of them, I was still not completely satisfied with the offers that I had. So I interviewed for the profile of a business analyst at Stribo, and there were 9 rounds of interviews. Yes, I had never appeared for so many interviews for a single company before, and it was definitely extremely challenging for me. It was a long 3-day process, and obviously like listing down all the learnings from that is not going to be possible in this one session. So summing it up all, I'll just say that to be very well prepared for unexpected questions in your technical round especially. And like being that prepared, that confidence will help you build a very strong base for your overall personality. And like always make sure that you're confident while you're answering, especially when you don't know the answer. Don't bluff, just like acknowledge it. Just know that nobody's going to kill you if the answer is wrong, and indicate that how open you are to learn about it more. Always be honest with your answers, no matter how hard it is. The interviewer or the person who's sitting across you, they will instantly know when you're lying. Trust me, your honesty and candidness will leave a mark. And be very modest and flexible with your answers. Like, obviously, nobody likes to talk with a person who is extremely rigid, right? So be firm with your answers, but at the same time, be very kind with whatever you state. I would like to share a story before I conclude. And it's about like I was in my last year of college and placements had just begun. And I thought it's not going to be that difficult as everyone else is portraying it to be. But soon when I gave my very first campus interview, I realized how unprepared I was. And no, I'm not talking about the technical questions, because there are n number of sites and there are n number of material around the internet to prepare one for a like the technical rounds and all. But what I learned that day was the most important thing that any interviewer from any company will ever look for in any fresher is the willingness to learn. No, it's not as common as it sounds. But genuinely, if you're willing to learn, there is no stop for you. Because whenever you join in some industry, they will take a few months of yours for onboarding and training. But what will drive you apart, what will drive you different from others is your swiftness and flexibility to learn those new things in the training. Even if you're not extremely technically sound right now, your ability to learn quickly is something that will pull you further in your career, at least in the initial stage. So that is all from my end. I think we are taking the questions at the end of the session. And I'll be putting out my email ID and my LinkedIn account in the chat later on at the end of the session. If you want to get in touch with me, you can use those mediums. And thank you so much for listening to me. I hope I added value through my learnings.
Good job, Ferry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ferry, for sharing your valuable words. I think it will be extremely helpful for our students. We would like to thank your presence with a small memento as a token of love. Thank you. I take privilege to introduce the last panelist for the session, Mr. Apu. He has completed his bachelor's in mechanical engineering from DKT Textile Engineering Institute. Hearty welcome, Apu.
Thank you so much, everyone. First of all, the most important question: am I audible? Because
yes.
This is okay. That's good to know. All right. So most of the good points have been covered by everybody who came before me, and we've all met before. We've all been part of this, as Ferry mentioned. So it's really refreshing to be on the other side Actually, refreshing is a very deceptive word. I am extremely afraid of how I'm going to present myself because I've been through this experience on that side of the screen. This one is a completely new ballgame. But let's begin. First and foremost, engineering is so common in India that most of the things that you think that you don't know, you can find on YouTube. And when I say that you can find it on YouTube, I just graduated as a mechanical engineering student. So almost everything that I would have in my curriculum is already available on like learnmech.org, etc. All of these blogs and articles. So it's not that hard to study for the engineering curriculum. What's harder is to build yourself up, build your character up, build your personality up, apart from being an engineer. And over here, I have a few points written down in really bad handwriting that I would like to put forth. Because, first of all, my experience is with technical aspect is not as major as compared to Purnaditya or Juhi or Ferry. However, my experience with event organization or team management is something I'd like to put forth, which is that you can never underestimate uh, management enough. We think that the management of an organization is like, they're just there. But one thing I've come to learn over the 4 years that I managed my college's Formula student team, as well as organizing TEDx in my college, is that no matter how much you plan, no matter how hard you try to make everybody work according to a certain flow, there will always be hiccups, and you need to be accepting and you need to be flexible about incorporating those mistakes and trying to make sure that you come out of it on the top. So that is a very important thing. And also very important in organizational management is you can never please everyone. It is never going to be possible that you will find a certain group of people and they'll be like, yes, I agree with your opinion. And then somebody else will come and say, yes, I agree with your opinion. Never possible. One thing you see will always be opposed by somebody else. Every decision you make will always be criticized by the people of the organization as well as from outside. But the most important thing as somebody who's trying to be a part of the management of an organization is that you need to learn to give priority to a decision. So if you're taking a decision, you're making a decision and you find that a certain group of people are not happy with it, if their problems are not as high of a priority as something else, you need to make the hard choice to decide to ignore that option for now. When I say ignore, I mean just put it to the side for now and then bring it back because it's not as high a priority. Second and most important thing when we talk about engineering is we find that many engineers, most engineers that come out of engineering in India do not have their own personality until they've gone through like 2 years after graduation. The reason for that is we go through this template and where I don't know how many of you are aware of AIV, the YouTube channel. They had a very popular video series called Honest Engineering Campus Placement. And it was pretty eye-opening for many people. I watched it the other day after graduating and I'm like, this is so true. So be unashamedly proud of who you are. Accept constructive criticism, encourage it and incorporate it. However, you need to know yourself better than other people. And if there is somebody who knows you better, keep that person close to you. As Punaditya has mentioned, networking, there is nothing better than networking. If you do not have a strong network during engineering, your life after engineering is going to be a struggle for the first few years because you have to build a completely new network instead of using the currently existing network, and not from just your college, from outside your college, attending events like those conducted by Iucee, which was in my case a completely random choice that I made from not even my case. A few students from my college decided to take me into their team, and somehow I got to attend the event in 2020. And ever since then, I have changed a whole lot just because of exposure. And finally, and most importantly, take up every opportunity. as I just mentioned. IUCEE, going to Hyderabad for IASF, that was a very huge thing for me. I had never gone out of my hometown on my own with a team for some reason. And for the first time in my life, I went out with a team and I had the time of my life. I networked and I had fun with all of the people. Sampada ma'am and Krishna Vedula sir might remember me from the organization committee for 2020 Student Summit. And I was there because I was in IASF, and all of these people who are currently the top level, they recognized that all of these new people need to be improved. We were not flawless. We never are. And as engineers, if there is one thing we need to accept, it is that we are not flawless. And just because we graduate as an engineer does not mean we know everything, which is a sad reality in India. And as Ferry mentioned, yes, ma'am, use your resources, as Ferry mentioned, which is that we have so much amount of resources in front of us. We have YouTube, we have Google, we have so much. The internet is literally in our hands. And the fact that we do not use those resources because I don't know why. If you have a YouTube channel, like in my case, I do. If you want to learn how to video edit, you don't just randomly start downloading video editors and then learning from scratch. You go watch tutorials on YouTube because you want to learn from somebody who knows better than you. That is a resource. It is a huge resource and it's almost unending. And if you are unable to tap into that resource, then sadly, there is nothing more disappointing. And yes, finally, before I conclude, I just like to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to represent the alumnus of IUCEE, even though I might say I am not at all as qualified as anybody else. But more importantly, thank you for calling me Apurva and not Apurva. There is no A after the V. And yes, that is pretty much it. Thank you so much.
Good job, Apurva.
Thank you, Apur, for enlightening us with your words. It was amazing. We would like to thank your presence with a small memento as a token of love. Thank you.
Now participants can post their question in the chat box so that the alumni over here can respond to your questions.
Meanwhile, I have a question for the panel. So my question is, what are the skills that you consider to be important or necessary for a fresher to get hired in any kind of industry or organization?
I'll start off by saying till this point, right, as a student, you are in a perspective where you search for what your institute has to offer to you, what these opportunities have to offer to you. But once you go into the job environment, you have to start marketing yourself. What can you offer to them? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to travel together with them as a team? This mind shift might take some time, but in my experience, that was one thing I noticed. Rest of the panel?
No, that I actually have nothing to add because the point to market yourself is very important. The entire life after graduation is about marketing yourself as a high recruit person.
Yeah, I think I agree to what Juhi and Apurva said. And it's just about how good of a team player you are, how much you can engage with people, and how much you can get along with them while you're working with them. So personal branding is something that you constantly have to do regardless of you are an entrepreneur or not.
I'd like to add to it a bit. Like we all know you need technical skills for your hiring and your placement and everything, but your soft skills are as important as your technical skills. If you're not a team player, you cannot communicate with others, you cannot get well with others, it won't work. You need to be able to work in a large team. From being able to manage the team to being part of the team, each and every skill is as important as anything.
Absolutely true. Like to give a slightly off the topic example to what Poonaditya has mentioned, communication is a big reason why many movies last for 2.5 hours when they could have finished within the first half an hour. So do what you want with that information.
That is so true.
There is one question from our participant, that is, what about GRE subjects?
GRE, it just tests your general English skills for 170. The other 170 is on basic mathematics, algebra, arithmetic, quantitative aptitude. It's normal. It's pretty normal. It's not too severe. As long as you've completed your 8th or at best 10th grade, you can cover them.
Thank you,
Another
Ji.
question.
Yes, please.
Another question is from my side. How we can build a resume strong?
Pardon, could you repeat that?
Yes, ma'am. How we can make a resume strong?
How do you make your resume strong? First off, start by checking out all those templates on internet. Apur has said that before. There are tons of resources on Google just waiting for you to discover them. What you want in a resume is they have exactly like maybe 30 seconds at best. First impressions matter, right? They want to look at this page and get a general gist of who you are as a person. Think of it as like a trailer to a movie. You would go to the movie after glancing over the trailer, right? Oh, does this seem interesting? Okay, let's go for that. And resumes are not just one-off events. You keep on improving them, adding stuff and deleting stuff from them all the time. Every single time we were applying to internships or to a new job or to another university, we would re-edit the contents to match their mottos, to check what we had in common.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thank you. The question is.
Now
Hello.
you can unmute and ask a question.
Yes, I have a question to Purnaditya Mishra. Sir, actually, I have heard in your biopic that you have done masters in artificial intelligence, and me also as thinking about to get a project in artificial intelligence as well as doing the masters or further degree in AI and choosing the branch as for my prosperous future. So, can you tell me which technologies can I combine with the AI to have a good project for the final year, or even as well as an innovative startup?
Yeah, that is a really amazing question. So the most beautiful part of AI is you can combine it with anything. Like just imagine anything, you can combine it. You use your phone, you know how versatile it can be. So you can make a robotics-based project, you can just make a query project, or you can use natural language processing. And yeah, as mentioned earlier, internet is full of resources. You can literally just Google AI-based projects and you'll get the so huge list that you cannot even finish reading it by the end of your engineering. So yeah, you can begin with anything. It is not that you need to only work on a certain sector or a certain domain. You just need to have a practical experience. So once you start building projects, you actually learn how things work and what goes behind the project. And literally, that's enough.
You want me to check the models, understand their behaviors, and then act with them?
Yeah, I mean, first you need to learn what is machine learning, but just learning ain't enough. You need to actually apply it. So as you're learning, you try using various frameworks, try working on TensorFlow as well as on PyTorch. You can use Keras model as well. Like those are easy to use and easy to learn. And there are several pre-made examples available on the internet where they actually show you what happens behind the screen. So you can learn what goes into the project, how the networks are made, how the networks are trained. And then you can use them to create our own projects.
Thank you, sir. Cleared, madam.
The question is from Ganesh Raj. Can you tell us about scholarship for master in foreign countries? For study in foreign countries?
Okay, I'll start with this. Before applying for scholarships, you need to actually finalize where you're planning to go, because scholarships are usually very specific based on your program as well as the country and the college. Like for my example, I am in a University of Michigan and I'm an international student. So I am automatically eligible for an international student scholarship that you get just based on your profile. You don't need to specifically apply for the same. And apart from the scholarships that are given by the universities, you also have several third-party scholarships, fellowships, and many things going on. So you need to search for them. Also, I applied to several universities in the UK as well. Almost all of them have their own scholarships. They will fund like around 10 to 50% of your tuition fees, most of them. And we also have several fellowships going on. So you can like literally just check on LinkedIn, check on Google. There are always some post or the other about a scholarship or a fellowship, and you can start applying to those.
There are
I hope
also
I was
some, yeah, there are also some third-party scholarship providers. Forte Foundation, for one. If you are a part of a community, let's say you're engineers, IUC is a particular community, right? Or if you're, for me, it took me a long time because I was like, I am a girl, given all the feminist ideals. I didn't want to embrace that fact and go for, women-only scholarships or women-only communities like MBA Chic. It was relatively recently that I came to terms, well, being a girl doesn't define me. It's a part of my identity, and it's okay to explore and meet with other women who are in places where I envision myself to be in the next 10 years. So check out all the third-party communities as well. It can be universities, and I think IELTS has a scholarship provision too if you get a high score. It really depends on research. Search the heck out of Google. We have other questions over here. Akshay says, if some people are a senior or a mentor, how to prove to them we can achieve trust or... Okay, look, how do friendships work? You don't go to a person one day and decide, okay, this is the person I'm going to spill all my tea with. I'm going to tell them all my secrets. That doesn't work. It's a two-way effort, right? This is a long-term thing. You constantly prove yourself to them through your actions, through your words, and through the interactions you have with them over a long period of time. Next thing, how to start building yourself for campus interviews.
Julie, just 1 second. I just
Yeah.
wanted to add one thing, which was when it comes to just work related or like academic related relationships, that might work. One more thing that we can add is that in general, if you want to be able to approach your seniors and stuff like that, the fact is, as engineering students, like we experienced this a few days ago when we started talking to each other, all of us alumni panel people, which is that at the end of the day, engineering, anime, movies, and exams, these are four different things that you can talk about and find common ground and be able to just mesh together and find the most absolutely amazing friendships from random people across the world. And that is, I'm not saying that you need to watch anime to find friends, okay, but what
You
I
cannot
am
say
saying,
that, okay? I don't watch it.
although I am a very strong supporter of watching anime because I started learning Japanese for that very reason. But the more important part is you need to be able to approach somebody, and for that to happen, you need to find a way to get into their field of view. And to do that, as Juvi mentioned as well, you need to find a way to sort of mutually agree or mutually talk about a certain topic. So whether it is just academics, whether it is anime, whether it is movies, or whether it is collectively talking smack about your college, in any case, it is usually a very easy way to find a friend in your seniors or in your mentors because they have gone through the same process as you, and that is what it hopefully helps with.
The importance of a common ground, you can find an Indian on the opposite side of the earth, and they will fight you to hell if you do anything to the national flag.
Yes.
Why? Because they're like, oh, this is my flag. I'm not in the country, but I relate with these people.
That's true.
Yeah, actually, common topics help a lot. The four of us, I guess we haven't met each other in person. And
Yes.
we actually started talking like just 2 days ago. And the first topic was just criticizing our colleges.
Yes.
Aditya, we are not supposed to.
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you check.
That's blasphemous, bro.
No, but honestly, I'll say that IUCEE has given me like one of the best friends that I have in my life, regardless of me meeting them in real life or not. But I have made so good friends here that this community has helped me overall 360-degree of my, entire development of mine.
There's a question over here. To me, apparently. Please don't call me sir. I'm barely 23. Being a mechanical engineer, does learning software help future in this current generation? Yes. The fact matter is mechanical engineering is no longer restricted to just drawing sheets and then going and sitting down and having trial and error. We have SolidWorks, we have ANSYS, we have Adams, we have Lotus Sharp. We have all of these softwares that have been tailor-made for us to minimize the amount of physical prototyping and to make it easier for us to go through all of the stages of testing before we actually work on a physical model. And the advantage to that is like it's better financially because you don't have to waste a lot of money. And also it introduces you to the software environment, because once you know how to use SolidWorks, you understand 3 dimensions. And if by chance you decide I want to go into 3D animation, then Blender or 3ds Max, Maya, all of these become much more easy to access. And similarly, if you want to go into graphic designing, for example, in my case, my curriculum had this topic called aesthetics and ergonomics. That topic has taught me so much that I had to learn before that was in final year, and I had to learn about it on my own through trial and error. And then I found out I just had to open the textbook from 4th year, which was not possible in 2nd year, unfortunately. But still, we get to learn so much that can be applied. So whether it is graphic design for posters, whether you are making UI UX for a website or an application, the fact that proportions, how something looks, how something should feel, and user experience, something that people somehow forget these days, which is user experience, how to use a software, how to use a particular product. That
mic on many peslama.
Sorry?
Sorry, wait a second, actually.
Yes.
Apurva, you can continue.
Oh, okay. So that is very important. And when we talk about softwares, we see UI, UX, and it becomes very easy to explain to people. But in mechanical engineering, if I have, let's say, okay, now I can't pick up that. Okay, I have a light over here. So in order to be able to hold this light up, it's a portable light, by the way, it needs to be easy on my hands. That's called ergonomics. But it also needs to look good. Otherwise, it's just a block of rectangle. It's like a cuboidal block. So it doesn't make sense, because as a customer, I don't want a cuboidal block. Why do people buy iPhones over regular Android phones most of the time? Because in majority of the circumstances, they look good, their software experience is good, and it's easy to use for a lot of people, which we seem to forget, which is UX, software experience, user experience. So that is basically my point, which is, as a mechanical engineering student, the most important thing is software is definitely the future for a large part of our work, and we need to embrace it as much as we can. Otherwise, we're going to be left behind. So yeah, thanks.
I'd like to add to Apoor, even though I'm not a mechanical engineer. At this point in human civilization, if you're wondering whether software is important, regardless of your branch, it's like asking who uses a pen and paper.
Yes. So
it's
true.
used in every field. How is the human genome decoded? They use supercomputers for that, metrology, supercomputers for that. Even if you think, oh, it's coding, it's CSC, I'm not related, you might end up having to use it at some point in your life. Software is a tool.
Yes.
That is
Thank you, Iucee.
yes.
I would like to take up a question from the chat. Someone's asking how to start building yourself for campus interviews right from the beginning of your engineering life. So regardless of what department you're studying in, what I strongly believe is that learning soft skills or learning general interview skills is a process. You cannot learn it from a book. But if you want to start building you want to start preparing for technical things, then there are various subjects that you have to start working on. You can you will obviously be learning about the subjects from the classes and everywhere. But if you want to exactly learn that what questions you will be asked in interview, or what concepts that you need to understand better to be better at your interview, then I think that's how you can start very initially in your engineering life. And you can focus on the technical part initially, while in the 4 years of engineering, you will eventually learn the soft skills with these events that you carry out, or getting associated with different people, the networking part comes in. So soft skills is a journey, but the technical part you can take up any time and just learn it. The concepts you can clear it from your end. If anybody would like to add to that.
That's pretty much it, I think. Other than that, interviews, your first, second, and third years, this is that time in your life when you have your college as a safety net. You can explore everything, and your college has your back. You have your identity as a student of the particular college. So grab everything. We are reiterating it. Be shameless.
Very true.
Yeah,
One
that
last point before we move on
Mhm.
to the next point, whichever it might be, which is that you need to be, like I said this before as well, but be confident about yourself and your choices. So, for example, I faced a lot of opposition from my friends, not even my institution, from my friends. Opposition in the sense they would make fun of saying, why do you need to attend all of these events, to go to these project presentation events and stuff like that? Honestly, those events made me much more comfortable with talking to people than I would ever have been able to just giving seminars in my college. And that is a very major part that we seem to ignore, which is later on when you become better, people will be like, ha, you are very good now, so help me out. But initial part of your journey, people will not really be understanding of your vision. So stick to your vision. It's not wrong for them to think you won't go ahead, but it is wrong for you to think based on their vision of what you think that what you're doing is wrong. That's a very confusing analogy. I'm sorry, but I hope you understand what I'm
It's
saying.
okay, we get you.
To summarize that, don't fall to peer pressure.
Yes, thank you so much.
just a
One
final
last-
addition.
One last
like-
question. What is the minimum percentage a student should have in his BTech to get a best scholarship for master?
Okay, I'll take this one, please.
Go ahead.
So it might actually seem counterintuitive, but percentage doesn't matter much. I have students in my batch currently studying with me. Like some have scored 8 CGPA, some have over 9.5, and we all are together, and all of us actually got the same scholarships. So literally, the percentage doesn't matter much. It is just a basic threshold that you need to get above certain value. That's it. It has served its purpose. You need to build your profile, and you need to build yourself. As has been pointed out earlier, you need to market yourself. Same thing applies here also. You need to have the skills, you need to have the experience, you need to have worked on some projects or references, because they actually check these kind of stuff before giving you a scholarship or even accepting your college admission. So yeah, I mean, that is actually counterintuitive, but percentage doesn't matter much.
That being said, I would like to advise everybody to not go ahead and flunk your degree. Okay, it's not just because it doesn't matter, does not mean you'll go ahead and be like, yeah, now I have 3 CGPA. Fight me, bro. That's not what he's saying. Please don't take what he's saying out of context. Just be above 6 CGPA or 7 CGPA, which is like the average CGPA everybody gets while graduating these days. Hopefully. I had to fight to reach 7.5, but yeah, I reached there. But we need to have that certain threshold, as Aditya mentioned. So don't forget that he says that there is a threshold. Just don't go ahead like I have 3 CGPA, but I still can go for master. No, they have standards, even if we might not.
Sampada wants to go back to college again.
One remark I'd like to state over here is we're all engineers over here. I think Iucee. As an engineer over these 4 years, right, you have inculcated skills to break down concepts to their fundamentals, grasp the essence and grasp the core. And these are a transferable skill set. No matter which direction you'd like the rest of your career to go to, you can use this anywhere. Right? So don't get stuck by, I'm a CS engineer, I should stick with coding. No, you can use this anywhere, all right?
That is right.
Yes, so well said. Very well said.
Thank
It's
you.
a
all of you.
wonderful wrap up.
I want to applaud all of you, all 4 of you. Amazing. Juhi.
Amazing.
Sorry, I missed your initial talk. And Purnaditya. Of course, Apurv, and very
Hello,
wonderful
sir.
job.
Thank you, sir.
Great.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Great
much.
job. Fantastic job.
I extend my heartfelt thanks for the alumni who readily accepted our invitation and answered to all our questions with patience. Then I thank the participants for their active participation. I think now you have a clear idea about your future. Also, I thank IUCEE for organizing such a useful session. Last but not the least, I thank the technical team for providing us with technical support. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Wait.
Thank you so much.
Wait. We have to drop our LinkedIn's over here before we sign off. We forgot about it.
No, that's not like in compulsion, but you can do that.
It's good if students
Yeah.
can connect with you, and in any case we will have this. In fact, I'm thinking already to arrange a very specific session with all of you for students again, because this was valuable.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a great
And I'm
evening.
so heartened.
Good luck in all your careers. Good luck in all your careers. Well done.
And I mean, 2 years ago, they were babies. Look at them.
I felt such a huge pang of nostalgia when I started speaking. I was like, oh my God, I'm at the other side. I cannot believe that.
You have done well, very well. It's so nice to see you. It's very heartening to see both of you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a great pleasure to see both of you again as well, ma'am. Sampada ma'am and Krishna Vedula sir. It's always a pleasure, and I honestly regret not being able to participate last year because I enjoyed so much for whatever time I was with you all.
You cracked us all up.
I mean, I'm amazing that way, I guess.
Oh, come on.
Apurva, no.
Next question. Next question.
Or for all four of us have glasses, we are the Anda batch.
Yes. Legally blind.
And
I think one important thing everybody should take away from this conversation is have fun. See the amount of smiles and fun these four people are having, conversing. That's life, guys. Okay.
True, sir.
Yeah,
you are
just to add to
inspiration,
Krishna sir's point, I'll like to add something. Once the college is over, we don't actually talk about the CGPA. When the four of us went, we weren't like, hey, how much CGPA did you get? Which was suggested to study.
So true.
We are just like sharing our experiences, like what we did in college to have fun and this random stuff.
But
we were supposed to prepare for the event.
We share our failures more than our achievements.
That's what has brought us here today.
Yes.
And you all are from different colleges. Look at that.
Right.
Yeah.
Except Purnaditya and Jui. No, all four of you are different colleges.
No, we're different.
Yeah. Yes.
All four are different.
All right.
Thank you,
Culture
guys.
show. It's amazing. Stay back. Culture show is amazing. Don't leave.
Thank you, all of you.
All right.
Thank you, all of you. Moving on to the next session, Culture and Talent Show. I would like to invite Shreya and Dinesh to join with us.
Thank you, Neil and Surya Praveen. After enjoying this great event, now I think we all are expecting some refreshment. So let's chill out with our energetic cultural performances. Good evening to all my fellow buddies, chief guests, and all the dignitaries present here. Myself, Dinesh, your host, and along with Ms. Shreya, your co-host. I heartily welcome you all to this cultural and talent show. Firstly, I would like to congratulate each and every participant for your immense dedication and efforts you have put in to make this event a successful one. I hope everybody are excited and curious to catch a sight on people's talent in art and photography. Art. Drawing at its best is not what you eyes see, but what our minds understand. Let's go to the drawing of our friends. Wow! The first one is by Ishita Reina and the second one is by Kirti Chituri.
Oh my
I
God,
have ever seen this type of before.
Amazing.
It's antique.
Good job. Good job, Ishita and Kirti. Very nice.
And going to next.
Okay, Bhargav.
Draw with intelligence, and it looks pretty much delightful and in the shape.
Very
And it's
nice.
from Bhargav Ram.
Amazing.
And another one is from Kushi Talva.
Yeah, fantastic, Kushi and Bhargav. Fantastic job. Very nice.
And painted beloved Krishna and painted beautifully with a mixture of elements. These are by Chand Antala and Vaishnavi Badi.
Good job, Chand and Vaishnavi.
Yes, it's from Shishti S. Honali. The painting looks majestic and it depicts the nature.
Amazing, amazing talent.
And the next one is from P. Sharath. The painting, this painting also looks majestic
pencil.
with the calm nature.
Pencil sketch, beautiful.
And the portraits viscous mind gracefully from the right. It's from Rupali Sharma. And nice. The Paramitala Jitendra Bai,
Great
the
job.
girl. And the next one is from Amol Sharma. It's fiercely drawn. And the next one is from M. Shrutija.
Shrutija has got 2-3 people mixed up in there.
It's drawing in its best form. And the last ones are from Harsh Singh and J. Koshar J. Tamboli.
Wow.
And captured the essence of calm nature and the life.
Yep.
Then coming
Very
to
nice.
photography. Photography is the story that people fails to put in words. The first one is from, it's captured, delayed at its best. And that first one is from N. Nagarjun Reddy.
Very
Next
nice.
is from Vasu Katal.
Oh.
I think so Mother Nature is captured neat, very neat. And next. And the left one is from Mulpur Sri Varsha and the right one is from Dushyant Kumar Singh. In the first one, the living life captured well, and in the second one, the orange sky captured very well. And next, from Hemanshi Nagri, and the right one is from Rajshekar G. Somnath.
I like the tunnel. Very nice.
It looked like an antique one. And the next one is Kamampati Shushmita, and the right one is from Nikila Kandekar. Pleasant sky captured well.
Very beautiful. Good job, everybody.
And the left one is from Pratiksha Barman, and the right one is from Samvita. I think so. It's taken from the moving train.
Yeah.
And with a pleasant sky. And next, it's from Uday Kiran Jalapati, and the right one is from Prajwal U. Pleasant sky captured well, and the art of nature lights in the flowers.
Very nice.
The next one is from Neha G. Janvi, and the right one is from Janvi Punani. And the last one is from Mehak. Pleasant sky captured well, and with great touching ground and hustle of crowds and the breeze of earth looks in these images.
Wonderful.
These are some eye-catching pictures of all our participants. I think most of the participants are nature lovers.
Yeah.
Anyways, beauty always lies within the nature. Now the show is taken over
putting them
by.
together, Dinesh. Good job of putting all of them together. Very nice. Collecting them.
Thank you, sir. Now the show is taken over by my co-host, Miss Freya.
Thank you, Dinesh. Now let's have a glimpse on dancing and singing talents. Dance. Dance is the joy of movement and heart of life. So this is the dance presented by Pranavi Panduranga Kulkarni. So let's look at it.
Jaya 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 Vidhi Hari Sevita Tapudu Dippudu Takudari Gita Tagata Kita Kita Taga Kita Kita Taga Tadari Dhambara Kita Kita Taga Digi Dari Kita Taga किट किट तक त्रिशूलधर नम किट किट तक त्रिनेत्र शंकर किट किट तक तांडवी धंबर किट तक धीतरि किट तक व्याघ्र चर्मधर तुम किट तक नम किट तक त्रिशूलधर नम किट तक त्रिनेत्र शंकर नंदिवादन नारद योग प्रिय नंदिवादन नारद योग प्रिय जगनं किट तक उदक तक जग जग जय जय शशिध विभूषण रूप भयंकर डमरुक हस्त तृतीय सहस्र दीक्षित नाथ नटेश गौतम तग तग
Great, great.
Wow, Pranavi, that was blissful. Coming to the next dance. Dance by Anmol Shetty. Wow, Anmol, you just nailed it. Now let's come into music. Music is the strongest form of magic, where words fail but music speaks. So let's go with Pranati AS music.
जी हमें मंजूर है आपका ये फैसला जी हमें मंजूर है आपका ये फैसला कह रही है हर नजर बंदा परवर शुक्रिया हंस के अपने जिंदगी में कर लिया शामिल मुझे आपकी नजरों ने समझा.
Well done, Pranati.
Wow, Pranati, that was really a splendid one.
Amazing.
Just loved it. So the next one is by Smitha K. Venkatesh.
ये क्या बात है आज की चांदनी में कि हम खो गए प्यार की रागिनी में ये बाहों में बाहें ये महकी फिजाएं लो आने लगा जिंदगी का मजा इराते मौसम नदी का किनारा ये चंचल हवा कहा तो दिलों ने कि मिलकर कभी हम न होंगे जुदा ये रातें मौसम नदी का किनारा ये चंचल हवा
Good job,
Wow, Smita. Personally, you just stole my heart. Okay, going to the next music by Aditya Sachin Iucee.
करम जिसे पुकारे वो पहुँचे गंगा किनारे न कर मैली तू गंगा, तन धोए मन तो गंदा, पलट के फिर न आने, बोली बात और बहता पानी, न कर मैली तू गंगा, तन धोए मन तो गंदा.
That's great, Aditya.
Sushant.
तुमको पाया है तो जैसे खोया हूँ, कहना चाहूँ भी तो तुमसे क्या कहूँ. तुमको पाया है तो जैसे खोया हूँ, कहना चाहूँ भी तो तुमसे क्या कहूँ. किसी ज़बान में भी वो लफ्ज़ ही नहीं कि जिनमें तुम हो क्या तुम्हें बता सकूं. मैं अगर कहूँ तुम सा हंसी कायनात में नहीं है कहीं, तारीफ ये भी तो सच है कुछ भी नहीं. तुमको पाया है तो जैसे खोया हूँ, कहना चाहो भी तो तुमसे क्या कहूँ. तुमको पाया है तो जैसे खोया हूँ. तुम हुई मेहरबान तो है दास्तान हो. तुम हुई मेहरबान तो है दास्तान, अब तुम्हारा मेरा एक है कारवां, तुम जहाँ मैं वहाँ. मैं अगर कहूँ हम सफ़र मेरी अप्सरा हो तुम या कोई परी, तारीफ ये भी तो सच है कुछ भी नहीं. तुमको पाया है तो जैसे खोया हूँ, कहना चाहूँ भी तो तुमसे क्या कहूँ. तुमको पाया है तो जैसे खोया हूँ, कहना चाहो भी तो तुमसे क्या कहूँ. किसी ज़बान में भी वो लफ्ज़ ही नहीं कि जिनमें तुम हो क्या तुम्हें बता सकूँ. मैं अगर कहूँ तुम सा हंसी कायनात में नहीं है कहीं, तारीफ ये भी तो सच है कुछ भी नहीं.
Good job, Sushanta.
Wow, that was really a delightful performance, Sushanta. So the next song is by C.K. Venkatesh.
थोड़े बदमाश हो तुम, थोड़े नादान हो तुम. थोड़े बदमाश हो तुम, थोड़े नादान हो तुम. हाँ मगर ये सच है मेरे भगवान हो तुम. थोड़े बदमाश हो तुम, थोड़े नादान हो तुम. मेरे सांसों का जनकार हो तुम, मेरा सोला श्रृंगार हो तुम, मेरे आँखों का इंतजार हो तुम, मेरा ईमान, मेरा मान, मेरा शान हो तुम, थोड़े बेईमान हो तुम, थोड़े नादान हो तुम, थोड़े बेईमान हो तुम, थोड़े नादान हो तुम। हम अगर ये सच है मेरे अरमान हो, थोड़े बदमाश हो तुम, थोड़े नादान हो तुम।
Amazing. Wow.
Wow, Siri, that was really enchanting. So now let's thank all the participants of this cultural and event show for their spectacular participation, and we hope that all of you enjoyed a lot.
Great
But
job.
overall, this was an amazing virtual event. Yes, right, Dinesh?
Yes,
Are these
Shreya.
participants here in the session? Are they here? I hope they are here. I want them to know that they have really
Done a
done an
fantastic job.
amazing job. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent job. Very well. Great.
Yes, Shreya. Now at last, I would like you to have a glance of our highly energetic day 2. This is from brief summary, which you all can have a glance. It has tech talks and student address and student chapter showcase. And we have just a minute and what would you do if, and award recognition and vote of thanks. Now I would like to thank you all here. Have a great day further and join this event sharp at 4 p.m. Don't forget it. Have a great day. We'll meet you tomorrow.
Thank you, Dinesh. Good job.
Very well done.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Very well done,
Thank
the
you,
whole
Shreya.
team.
Good job of.
Thank you, ma'am.
And
Thank
very
you, sir.
thank you to all the technical
Thank you so much, ma'am.
communication teams
Thank you,
for
sir.
making this event such
All
a
the
beautiful
juries
one.
as well as the chief guest for being here.
Yeah. Iucee, thank you. Well done. We'll be seeing you in Jammu in 10 days.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I've got an
Sampada and I are coming to Jammu on the 31st. I know 31st, right? All right, guys. Take care.
Amazing job, all of you. Let's meet after we have our dinners so that we are
Sure,
ready
ma'am.
tomorrow, okay?
Sure, ma'am.
I'll drop a message, okay?
Ma'am, live
Take,
music.
take some rest, move about, have your dinner, and then we'll meet in an hour.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, all of you.
Live